It's a Tuesday morning, and it's my pleasure to serve you the news. My name is Advocacy Shandov. The fight against galamsey has become topical, with religious leaders from all faiths joining the fray. They are 14 chiefs who allow galamsey to thrive within their respective jurisdictions. At a news conference that followed their visits to some galamsey sites, the religious leaders criticized traditional leaders who are complicit in illegal mining. Kwekwasanti has more in the following report.
Leaders of Ghana's dominant faiths are lamenting the debilitating impact of illegal mining on the environment and calling for immediate action. A number of Ghanaian church leaders visited some galamsey sites to familiarize themselves with the challenge. President of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong Manso, says that traditional leaders and security agencies who are allowing galamsey to thrive must stop.
Some traditional leaders are also responsible for allowing such ecological destructions in their jurisdictions. We call on such leaders to desist from this illegality and use their authority to ban galamsey in their domains to avoid further destruction of our natural resources.
President of the Catholic Bishops' Conference, Archbishop Philip Name, described galamsey as an environmental coup which deeply concerns the religious leaders, prompting their latest actions.
For many years now, our sovereign country Ghana has been witnessing under our very naked eyes the saddest environmental coup d'etat ever unleashed upon our nation, heralding a programmed and complete ecological disaster or destruction. On our various pastoral and social visits to our people in their localities, as well as our many travels across the country, we see, denounce, and cry over the wicked and greedy destruction of our forest resources.
Spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimiya Shaibu, says religious leaders are appalled by the level of destruction of the environment. He cited recent threats by the European Union to ban agricultural products from Ghana, including cocoa.
The deleterious impact on our food and cash crops are so bad that some countries like Japan requires extra testing of our cocoa products before they can be accepted on their market. The European Union recently threatened to place an embargo on some of our agricultural products, and we are not certain about the future, which already looks gloomy. We have become living, dead, polluted, walking Ghanaians.
So both Christian and Muslim religious leaders are not excited about the illegal mining menace of galamsey. They are asking government to take specific actions. We know only last week they visited some sites in the eastern region where galamsey has been destroying the environment. They've come back with their report. They are now set to meet the president to present their paper and urge the president to take some specific actions to help in dealing with this menace. The leaders are advocating for a ban on small-scale mining activities in the country as part of efforts to deal with galamsey and will, in the coming days, roll out more measures as part of their advocacy. For JoyNews, Kwekwasanti, Accra.
President Akufo-Addo has affirmed his trust in the Chief Justice Enin Yeboah, describing him as a man well-versed in the rule of law. The president has entreated Kenyans to treat with contempt critics of the Chief Justice who are not satisfied with his ruling. Ohim Interior has more in the following report.
President Akufo-Addo is on a 4-day working tour of the Ashanti region. He commended the Chief Justice Enin Yeboah for his exemplary leadership that has seen massive infrastructure development for the Judiciary service when he commissioned a 20,000-unit residential complex for the appeals court judges at Denyami in Kumasi.
The efforts of Chief Justice Enin Yeboah, his predecessor, Chief Justice Sofia Akufo, the former Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Hajia Alima Mahama, The current Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, the Honorable Dan Boche, Member of Parliament for Okre, and the Honorable Irene Na Toshi Ado, Administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund, must be warmly commended, as indeed the work of the contractors who have brought us to this day.
There is a similar project to commence in Adenta in Greater Accra region. It comes at a time 70% of 120 courthouses are being commissioned across the country. The residential complex is expected to ease the accommodation pressure of the justices and fast-track adjudication of cases at the appeals court in Kumasi. President Akufo-Addo later commissioned yet another modern district court at Tumasi in the Achumongo-Beja municipality, where he stated the Chief Justice is not only a custodian of Ghana's law, but also doing an excellent work for Mother Ghana.
Ghana and Bradina Eshana said, or yet Juma Papa Amor Emrano Unimbo Papa, Nessusumi Melpatni, it's in the castle being in Ranuma, as a Mochimidi, Unimerano Papa. And I'm saying, Pinomena, who was some year than now the corner name, no buffa, so now a yoya, Uninam now can some, a fan home. Mamma Fasasam, no, and Yasama Hamokra, Obieno, Otis Hasam, no. Or yet, you might Papa, more man.
The new district court is the first of its kind in the area. It comes with magistrate accommodation. From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohimeteria reporting.
Let's now turn our attention to the Upper West region, where the Minister for Tourism, Creative Arts and Culture, Dr. Ibrahim Mohamed Awal, has revealed that plans are far afoot by governments to establish the Grains Development Authority aimed at giving farmers guaranteed prices. Speaking at the climax of this year's combined festival by the chiefs and people of the Loro traditional area, Dr. Mahamadou Awal said following the establishment of the authority, post-harvest losses will be eradicated as government will guarantee and buy grains produced. Rafiq Salam reports from Lora.
For 3 years, the Combined Festival has been on hiatus due to the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic. During the lull, the sound of this flute, known locally here as Hore, has never been heard anywhere in the traditional area. When it does, it signifies the return of the Combined Festival and brought excitement and splendor. Combined is celebrated by the chiefs and people of the Loro traditional area to give thanks to God and their ancestors for successful end of the farming season and in expectation of a good harvest. Minister for Tourism, Creative Arts and Culture, Dr. Ibrahim Mohamed Awal, who represented President Akufo-Addo, revealed that plans are far afoot by the government to establish Grains Development Authority aimed at giving guaranteed prices for farmers.
Government, through the Minister of Agriculture, is establishing the Grains Development Authority. The Grain Authority will be like the Cocoa Board. It will guarantee prices for our grains. So there will no more be post-harvest losses within the grain sector, as the government would guarantee and buy the grains that we produce here, store them in the warehouse that have been set up in the Upper West, and make the farmer better off. Since the farmer would have guaranteed prices, all your produce in terms of grains will be bought and preserved for the lean season.
Dr. Awal also spoke of plans to give a facelift to some tourist sites in the region.
The crocodile pond at Ermo, the Breford water spring, and the place where Kwame Nkrumah was detained just around the neighborhood. We want to work with the regional minister and the MMDC and the chiefs to develop these tourism attractions. Tourism employs 2 out of every 10 people in this country. We think when we develop the tourist sites, they not only create jobs for the people, they also bring wealth and prosperity to the people of Lora and Upper West region.
Vice President of the National House of Chiefs, Napo Odekabo III, who also doubles as the paramount chief of the Lower Traditional Area, commended the government for the introduction of pro programs such as the Planting for Food and Jobs and the fertilizer subsidy. Napole Kabo, however, stated that agricultural production is under threat due to climate change.
The current climate change data on the northern ecological zone of the country, of which Laura is part, paints a very frightening and dire situation for the present and future agricultural productivity and hence food security. These, together with the rising cost of farm labor, call for immediate and concerted action by all stakeholders to respond to the challenges posed by the climate change. A sustainable approach to tackling the negative impact of climate change on our agriculture is to raise the environmental consciousness of our people through aggressive, sustained sensitization of the people on the negative impact of climate change and introduce smart agricultural practices.
Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Sali assured the people of the government's commitment to constructing the Dike Bridge and the Kamba Dam.
Contractors working on the Dike Bridge will soon resume work. Let me also announce that contract on the work on the Kamba Dam has been awarded to Mahum's Construction, and they will also commence work very soon.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam, Laura.
Meanwhile, President of Regional Managers of Credit Unions, Abraham Dakura, wants government to include credit unions in the banking space, but to be clearing systems. He avers that in other countries, credit unions drive the clearing systems. Mr. Abraham Dakura made the call at the celebration of the International Credit Unions Day in Rafiq Salam again.
International Credit Union Day exists to raise awareness and celebrate what makes credit unions unique. This year's theme looks towards empowering members and community to build a better financial future with a credit union. Credit unions are financial cooperatives set up by members who own and control them for their social and economic well-being. The concept of credit union in Africa started at Jiriba in 1955 by Reverend Father John McNulty. 67 years on, the Upper West region today is host to 12 credit unions with a membership of 43,808. Members of the various credit unions in observing the day in the Upper West region walked through some principal streets in the Wa municipality and ended at the Wa St. Andrew's Cathedral, where they were addressed by leadership of the various credit unions.
We need to have confidence in the credit union. We need to trust that the credit union is what can support our financial needs.
Supervisor Manager of the World Community Cooperative Credit Union, Abraham Dakura, who also doubles as the president of the Regional Managers Association, calls on the government to involve credit unions in the payment of beneficiaries of the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty, LEAP, and also allow them in the banking space as clearing agents.
Government should make it a point to ensure that credit unions participate in the banking space. For example, credit unions are not part of the clearing system. And that is unfortunate because in some parts of the world, in Canada, Germany, and the US, the credit unions are the ones that actually drive the clearing system. Also in our continent, in Kenya, the credit unions, in fact, some credit unions have bought banks before. But in this country, it looks as if we are not prioritizing this very important developmental tool. And I think that government must take the credit unions more seriously from now on.
Another major challenge faced by the credit unions, according to the Upper West Regional Manager of Credit Unions Association, Kenneth Talangmane, are local funds with various investment companies. They want the government to come to their aid.
The total amount local with these investment houses as of June was 4,104,6 781 Ghana cedis. That is this our small chapter. So if you look at national, that is not small money, that is local with our investment houses. So it is our humble appeal and request through this media that the president should do us a favor by helping us to get our local funds in order to enhance liquidity.
They wrap up the celebration by visiting Child Support Ghana, where they donated food items and toiletries to the orphanage for their upkeep. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Our focus is now in the Bono East region, where some commercial drivers and commuters in the Techiman municipality are lamenting the effects of the incessant hikes in the prices of petroleum products over the last few months. They say any attempts to increase fares would mean they will have to stay out of business, as passengers would no longer be willing to patronize their services. And Asabet has more on the following report.
The incessant hikes in the prices of petroleum products at the pumps over the last couple of months has led to the increase in transport fares across major transport unions in the country, with commercial drivers recently threatening to increase transport fares by some 30%. We visited the main Techiman lorry station to engage some drivers and commuters on how the move could impact their businesses. First, let's engage some drivers here and find out from them what they make of the incessant hikes in petroleum products.
Poor prices, one way the about so the prices yen or my adebate over quarter yatum. And affect your jubano in a way say, and then unim say bio makoba makomienu metal 2 cities over corner now as a more than 25 cities. Into the fuel prices on the affect your party as I say. So we be on your farm why
Inuya said the petrol no corner Ghana had the young chile papa and yet teach my called Ghana, young chile. Son say Obelo do from here to Pransano. Now cover in and out no. 1 million and 112 Ghana cities. Now got petrol 100 cities here. Not just on first 12 cities pay. Police for Beji, not just the whole day for nothing.
For these drivers, the hike in transport fares is heavily having a toll on their transport businesses.
Petrol cost with the Casanga neighbor because I must say, any pen to coin. And you quite table so bad in and out scanning 5.4. You buy a tofu 4 million, I 1.4. Now, should Jenny, you travel Jenny. They are banner, they move 4 million, but tofu, now 1.4. Send out the Comacara. The Casa fool and quite costing higher, nay, a chantro.
To say Ancasano. Ama petrol into ama ya jumano akofo man kasakura ma passengers an kasakura on bafrukan se se bi ni ho akwanto no so ate totally enye se bi a half because first ni say ya ba obi betima komienu miensa se se once kura no wonya.
They rather want government to work towards reducing the prices of fuel instead, as the hikes in fares is discouraging passengers from boarding their vehicles.
So say na Ghana no bia ho kire no ti ya to ka skamu say kim ya adwuma no ebekọ fam obia emma so obia ma ti ska ban ti me tesu mom ma ya ka ebe pa chen say ye beto ka skamu no
lorry fare ntumu ne de yempe ti ya sira ban ne say lorry fare petrol prices no won te so enye den emma say won te so mpo ma ya o me njina babikura na ye den.
Some of the passengers we caught up with are not happy with the situation either.
To say the Ghana, to be honest, we don't know where Ghana is going anymore. And see, we are all going. For instance, I per se, because of increment of transportation, I have to quit the job I'm doing, and it's a private work. So as I'm speaking to you right now, I'm unemployed because I used to work with a private company, and where I am, they don't have a nest.
Na ya ye kwa nkrankrati ko dibia. First no na yetime de 10 cities na de Africa. Na ye kwa omoji 30 cities 25. Nti abasisi ya de bebia ye diama yankasa.
They say any attempt to increase transport fares would compound to their hardships considering the current economic situation of the country.
I know the any ebe say yen na ba so yan akodan aban. Ye ba kwa akotana aban ni fie na ya he. ebi say ye di tum ne ye nya a driver for no be affect wo na yen so timamfo no yen timi ntu kwan say bibi hia wo kora wontimi nko ebi say minisika me di tua di mere na makọ.
Their common plea to authorities is to intervene in order to save the situation.
Abanye wrade yesra wate boye na ka skai de ekoye ntimi ti abanye yesra boye na yesi de Ghana ma ye bre pa
ye besra ban senka obeti fair no so ayi petrol no bo so nanka yeso ayeden yate fair no so nanka amanfo atima anya kwan atu kwan ama yesere be ya yefi benya bibi akoya no
yesra ban say fuel prices no se bejuna fa kumpo ama ye na enka ye person say da bia ye tum adetia na ye teso ne ade no ti yesra ban say onye bibi nye den enfa ho ma ye.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
Now, beneficiaries of the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, have given one of the immediate communities, a university, a new lease of life with the installation of a grinding mill to improve their livelihoods and transform the world around the students. The students also constructed walking pavements, signposts, and painted the buildings of Kote Dekwa Community Special School near Kumasi in the Ashanti region. Lab FM's Chrissy Deborah has more. The following report.
The exercise by the KNUST Scholars Community was to mark the International Day of Service, a day where scholars around the globe take time to collectively give back to their immediate communities. The students constructed walking pavements, signposts, and painted the buildings of Kote Dudiako Community Special School near Kumasi in the Ashanti region. The cost of the project was $30,000.
So it's a partnership between KNUST and the MasterCard Foundation to support students with scholarships. And as part of their responsibility on the Scholars Program, scholars are required to give back to their community as a group and as individuals. So that is the essence for the service day, where students give back collectively to a community in the environs of KNUST to support and provide assistance in the aspects that the community requires. So today we are here at Life Community Special School to give back.
Head teacher of the Kote Dudiako Community Special School, Mr. Joseph Stanley, commended the MasterCard Foundation scholars for the initiative. He appealed for more facilities to transform the lives of the special students to make them feel loved and cherished.
This project is a huge one. In fact, this is the first time an organization has come to do this for us. And then this one is going to help the students a lot. Remember, it's a policy that every institution has to have an environment disability friendly. This place, you came by the road up there. That's how it was. Now, this is purely disability friendly. And my students, you can see that some of them cannot walk well. So this one, they can play, run around without hurting themselves. So it's going to help them. Even those with their disabilities. When you walk in a rough place and it is smooth, you can imagine how you walk smoothly.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
That's how we wrap up on this morning's edition of the news. My name is Pakwesi Shanda. For more, log on to www.myjoyonline.com. Now the show continues with Benjamin Akakpo and Benes Abubedu Lanza. Stay.
Well, a very good morning to you. Thank you for making the time to stay with us as we dig into the newspapers. Of course, topical among some of the matters we're going to be discussing, the fuel price hikes and what all of this means. Joining me for a conversation, Kojo Poku, energy analyst. Mr. Poku, a very good morning to you, sir. You would have to unmute, Kojo.
Good morning, Ben. How are you?
I'm okay under the circumstances. God is faithful. But I'll just find out from you, what's your quick reaction to the latest fuel price hikes? I'm just looking for some of what we've seen over the last few days so I can run them by you in terms of the facts and the figures. So from one station, and I'm looking at it now, and this is one of the places I purchase fuel from. So diesel is going for $15.99, basically 16 cedis. Then you have one of the varieties going for 13 cedis and 10 pesos. Then you have another one that is petrol going for 15 cedis and 70 pesos, and that is what I purchased. And there's also kerosene for 13 cedis and 19 pesos. Per my estimation, from what I was paying last week to what this means, and I have to top up today, what it means is per liter, I'm going to be paying an extra 2 cedis. And already people who travel long distances every day to Kasua, from Kasua, and all of that are complaining. Some people are saying they're spending as much as 20 cedis every day, you know, just in, not to talk of out. What is your quick take on this whole bit about fuel price increments? Quick one.
Well, it's always a sad news and a sad sight when you wake up in the morning and you are driving by and you see the increase. But one of the things that I have also said is that it's a deregulated market, and the prices you are quoting is most likely from the top 4. There is going to be other filling stations that will not be charging the 15.99 for diesel and the 13 or 15 for petrol. So I encourage people that we are in tough times, so look around for a bargain. We have always said that
realistically, I'm sorry, but realistically, some of these ones you speak of, you would probably have to go out of your way to find some of their fuel stations. That is one.
Not necessarily.
No, hold on.
Necessarily.
And secondly, it's also about the quality, right? So you want to protect your vehicle, high-octane vehicles.
It's not true. Ben, me and you have had this conversation over and over. I've always said that the quality of all fuel in this country comes from the same tank. There isn't separate tank for fuel that goes to the top 4, and there isn't a separate tank for fuel that goes to the other.
Are there high-octane fuels or not?
The high-octane fuel, you are buying basically designer fuel. When you go to the Shell and you go and buy their V-Power, that's a designer fuel. You are basically buying premium fuel. That is why you are paying the price that you are paying for petrol. When petrol was 13 Ghana cedis a liter, Shell was selling their high-octane V-Power for 15 cedis. Now, it will be good for you to know that the FEMAX at Guel has the same octane level as the V-Power at Shell. So if you can save yourself 2 cedis and go to Guel. Now, it's not difficult to find Guel.
Well, I've not checked from Guel. I'll do that today and find out what theirs is.
I'm just giving you information that the petrol from Guel has the same octane level as the V-Power at Shell. Okay, so the point of you having to drive out of your way to find the other stations is not true. Now, most of these Ghanaian-owned filling stations that are doing lesser, it could be 20 pesos, Ben, it could be 30 pesos, but it's still a deal. Look, we keep saying that government should reduce taxes and levies on the petroleum products. When government has ever made an attempt to do that, government only reduced 10 pesos, 15 pesos, 30 pesos. Now, you have another filling station that is giving you this deal. We as consumers can also drive the price down by patronizing the cheaper filling stations, so there will be competition. If we all have this mindset that I have a car, it's difficult to drive off and buy this. I can always buy from this station. That's the one. And we keep educating. MPA has educated that quality conversation is in the 70s conversation. In today, 2022, there is no such conversation. In fact, let me tell you where if you want to talk about when people try to put stuff, or what was the word they use, adulterated. If people want to adulterate the fuel, it is adulterated in the tanks. It has now been proven that it's the tanker drivers that adulterate fuel. So the fuel going to any of these top 4 could be adulterated by a tanker who is delivering to those stations. So it doesn't matter whether you're buying from the top 4 or the other stations. You could be buying adulterated fuel. There are instances where people have bought fuel from the top 4 and gotten adulterated fuel because the tanker driver adulterated it before delivering it. So let's move away from this quality. Because of the fuel markers introduced in the fuel, all fuel around the country, until proven otherwise, is of the same quality.
I still disagree with you on certain points, but I think the bottom line is this. Promises were made about, cushioning us in terms of tax. Now, I don't know whether you've paid attention, but how much we're paying in tax on a liter of fuel is more than we used to purchase fuel for just some 6 years ago.
It's not true.
What isn't true?
Okay, so
I was purchasing a liter.
Let me explain.
So just a point. I was purchasing a liter, just about a liter, for over 4 cedis. Is the tax component on a liter not about 5 cedis currently?
No, it's not true. That's what I'm saying. It's not true.
How much is it then?
2 cedis, 20 pesos at most.
The last I checked, okay, so it was over 4 cedis.
All the taxes, Ben, let me explain. When you add up all the taxes, depending on at any point in time, recently there were some decreases and some were brought back. I don't know which ones were brought back. But let's even say the most is being, as at last year, was 2 cedis, 70 pesos. The most, the taxes, levies, and margins, the most is being, as at last year, was 2 cedis, 70 pesos.
That is pretty interesting, Kojo, because I do recall very well that some months back, we conducted the same study, and when you looked at the tax component, it was over 4 cedis. I don't think memory is failing me over that.
I have a calculator. You can pull it up. We have about 5 minutes. We can do the math right now.
So now
you can go online and we can pull up the taxes and margins and add it all up right now.
So now
the maximum it will be 2 cedis, 70 pesos.
Okay, so just about 3 cedis.
It's not just about 3 cedis.
So,
it's 2 cedis, 70 pesos.
Right. So when you pick the current figure, so let's say for those paying 15.99, which is practically 16 cedis. Can you do the math for us, just so we do this live on air? So basically, for those who are paying 16 cedis.
If it's 16 cedis and it's 2 cedis, 70 pesos in taxes, you are looking at about
we've not calculated on the. I want us to calculate on the 16 cedis. Is the 2 cedis 70 pesos? Does it cut across? Because there are different prices we are looking at.
It is fixed. You see, that's the thing people don't seem to understand. The taxes, levies, and margin are not percentage. They are not calculated as a percentage. They are fixed per liter. So when you go through the list, it says 30 pesos per liter, 10 pesos per liter, 20 cedis per 20 pesos per liter. So it doesn't matter if there are 3 components of fuel. Okay, the 3 components of fuel is taxes, levy, and margin, the product cost, and then OMC marketed margin. Those are the 3 components that makes up your fuel. Now, at any point in time, the taxes, levies, and margins are fixed. So it is not more than 2 cedis, 70 pesos. And I'm using last year's figures. I have not done the calculation now as it is, because there were some reductions and some of the levies were brought back. So the point I'm making to you is that even if the fuel is 20 cedis a liter, your tax, levies, and margin is fixed. Still 2 cedis, 70 pesos. It is not a percentage increase on the price of the fuel. So as the fuel price goes up, when we were doing, in the beginning of 2021, we were doing 4 cedis a liter. Okay, some were doing 4 cedis, 30 pesos. At that point, the taxes, levies, and margin was 2 cedis, 70 pesos. Now that is 13 cedis or 16 cedis, it is still 2 cedis, 70 pesos a liter.
So per my calculation, that is about 17%.
There you go. Yeah.
Of the entire bit, which is still very high.
Well, it is very high, but Ben, let me put this to you. If today, like we were having the argument 2 years ago or last year, when people were saying that when the price was 7 cedis, we were saying it was high, so government should do something about the taxes and margins, right? Let's assume that today, that same old argument holds true. Let's now reduce the entire 2 cedis, 70 pesos from the fuel cost now. It's still 13 cedis, 30 pesos, which is still very high than when it was 7 cedis. So it tells you that the taxes is now becoming a very negligible part of the conversation. What is very the conversation?
So the 16.8% I'm speaking of. So 16.8%. Let's round it off. 17% is negligible per liter.
I'm not. It's negligible compared to the product cost. The product cost is making up another. The product cost is about 70%. So I'm thinking the marketers and marketers margin will come on top of that. So what is making the product expensive is the product cost. What is making the product cost expensive is your dollar to the city. That's the conversation we should be having, okay? Now, if government doesn't have money, and as a result, we are not able to basically generate enough taxes to basically pay our debt, and our city is losing strength because we don't have money, why would anybody want to start talking about reducing taxes? That's the problem. You see, the problem is not, because in the world market right now, we had the highs of the premium, or what do you call it, the crude oil going around 120, 115, 121 last year, or the early part of this year. Now, the crude oil is around $91, $95, thereabout. It has come down below $100 a barrel. So, in effect, if you look at the prices around the world, it has all come down. The only problem in Ghana now, why our products is still going up, is that the majority of the component which is affecting your price is the product cost. The product cost is influenced heavily by the dollar to the city. That is the conversation we are supposed to be having, not the taxes.
In the meantime, as you definitely know, when fuel prices go up, I mean, there is that unwritten rule, when it goes up to a certain level, the transport operators, right before we get into the papers, will also want to increase their fares. And that is looming. And we already know. I was stunned yesterday when someone told me that just shuttling to Kaswa costs her about 20 cedis and back. So multiply that. I've had people tell me that when their cars broke down and they had to board public transport, their salaries, entire salaries, were gone, even before other expenses came through. But put that side by side with this staggering fact. We put out a ranking of sub-Saharan African countries with the highest food prices or highest food price increments in this year, 2022. And guess what? Ghana ranked first in terms of food price increments, 22%. I'm just putting that into the conversation of what the fuel price also does, not just to transportation, but to food and to everything in that basket that the Ghana Statistical Service uses. So, I mean, for me, this is a very tricky spot to be in, but we can only pray things ease up.
It's a big problem. We all know it's a problem. And like I have said during the conversation and submission I made earlier, your underlying problem is the weakening of the city. The products you are importing, all the products on the market, the additives, everything, even if it's local food that we are producing, they use fertilizer, they use all the other things they use. They use chemicals. All those things are affected by the dollar to the city. If we are to concentrate as a nation and stabilize our currency, a lot of things will follow suit, okay? We seem to think that really and truly the economy will take care of itself, which it wouldn't. We think that the cedi and the dollar will bounce back by just having one-off inflows, which it wouldn't. We need to have pragmatic plan to basically strengthen the cedi. We are not doing that. I'm not seeing that from anybody. Everybody is hoping that IMF will come in and magically the cedi will gain strength. It wouldn't. You need to have a saving plan. The investor confidence in this economy is gone. Nobody's bringing in money. Everybody is just sitting back and waiting. And all this publication every day of the cedi being the worst currency in the world or whatever, it's not helping anybody. So the government needs to sit up and give pragmatic reasons, plan, and the roadmap to strengthen the cedi. The 1.3 billion cocoa syndication loan will come in, but I doubt it would dent it that much. Okay, so we are now at 12. We don't do something immediately, we are going to wipe savings of people. We are going to wipe money off people's savings. Me and you, our salary beginning of the year is negligible in terms of what it can buy. Because what we were earning the beginning of the year, if the cedi was 7 cedis, now it's gone to 12. the amount of increase as per dollar value of our salaries is basically being wiped out. So we can't buy anything. So I can understand when people cannot patronize all these transportations and be able to take care of themselves. Ghanaians are in a very tough place, my brother. And it's about time that we take it serious and pretend that it's going to go away someday. It's not, unless somebody does something about it.
And my core problem, when some prices go up, food prices, basic commodities, and especially fuel, it is really difficult, from my experience, for them to come down. That is the sad aspect. When transport fares go up, they practically never come down, and that's the problem. So for the person, for Kwesi Menu, whose salary has been what it is for the past decade, who has not seen any increments, and yet has to find ways and means of dealing with all these accelerated costs, you can just imagine what life is like. But let's get into the daily graphic this morning. Kumasi Bolgatanga 330 kV line commissioned. It will carry power to Burkina Faso. I find this interesting because we've always spoken about this, and there's also the bit about excess power. 2023 budget preparation. Bring back road tolls, according to a citizen survey. And a civil society organization with interest in agriculture and the social sector, Send Ghana, has called on the government to bring back road tolls to help shore up revenue for development. It explained that reintroducing the road tolls would help generate more revenue for the state and ease the pressure on the economy, since the electronic transfer levy introduced to help in that regard was not fetching enough revenue to execute developmental projects as had been projected. There's also 10 years after passage of law, mental health care still unsatisfactory. Dr. Kwesi Osei laments, and appropriate technology key to responsible mining. Commodity Monitor CEO says so. On the back page of the Daily Graphic, a battle for #1 spot, and pictured there are 4 goalies, are 4 shot stoppers. Richard Ofori, Joseph Wallacott, Lawrence Atizigi, and Abdul Manaf Nuruddin. All of them vying for that all-important spot. So I'm supposing you might want to share your thoughts on bringing back road tolls and whether we should have taken it away in the first place. Then, again, an energy-related issue. The 330 kV line commissioned to carry power to Burkina Faso. Quick thoughts?
Well, for me, bringing back any form of tax at this point in time in our lives, for me, I wouldn't advise anybody to even think about it. This whole thing about the GRA going hard on market women to try to make it look like they are doing their work and all these things is at the wrong time. I keep saying that you can't squeeze water out of a rock. There is no water in the rock to squeeze. And that is what GRA is trying to do to Ghanaians at this stage. This is not the stage to start doing your work. Yes, you are supposed to collect taxes, but this is a time when nobody has the money. You are going hard on market women whose savings are being depreciated by the dollar to the cedi, period. I'm hearing from next week, there's going to be a 1-week shutdown of all stores in Accra. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not, but that would be very sad.
It's actually this week. In the central business district of the Ashanti region, Kumasi, it has happened, and it's happening here in Accra as well. In fact, my colleague Bernice Abubeidu Lanta, your friend, your very good friend, will be reporting live from the central business district of Accra today on the back of that, because traders have also put in some sort of petition based on which these people are saying they are not going to be selling anything.
And the other thing is that on top of that, you have snakes going around telling these women that they have to pay snakes. I think we should try and educate Ghanaians and let snake come out and explain. Ben, maybe you should do this. I thought snake was voluntary, not compulsory. I don't know, somebody needs to educate me. I can decide to pay snake as a self-employed person or not.
Right.
I don't.
Of course, the dynamics are different when you are employing people, but individually.
No, I know. But if you are self-employed, which most of these market women are, they are self-employed.
Right.
So, as a self-employed person who is not paying himself salary, you can decide to voluntarily pay snake or not. If they employ somebody,
I think, Kojo, the thinking is, the unbanked population, usually those who, what are they called? They don't usually get into the fray. And so, yes, the informal sector, the tendency to not do this and then be caught in dire straits at the end of, when they retire or they can no longer work is high. So I think maybe that is the approach, not to say that it is compulsory.
So you educate them. You educate them and tell them that, look, this is the option available to you. If you don't do this, you might face this. But don't go and start making it compulsory, because that's the information I'm getting. That SNIT is going around the Central Business District and insisting that these market women do their SNITs, which for me, I know is not compulsory if they are self-employed. Okay, somebody can educate us otherwise, but that's for me, I think, what the law is. Pension is an option I can decide to have or not.
Right.
Then again, so all these things going on is putting on unnecessary burden on our mothers and fathers and sisters who work in this informal sector. So my point is that already we are facing horrible situation. In other jurisdictions, they are reducing taxes for these people. They are reducing taxes for citizenry. Today is not the time for GRA to start doing their work. I can't stop repeating this over and over. They should just chill out. Let us go through this momentous hardship that we are going through. And on the other side, let's look at how we are going to basically do our work. There are companies, okay, who are avoiding taxes. There are companies who are not paying the right taxes. And those taxes, when collected, is twice what you get from Makola.
Right.
But you are not collecting those ones. So what's the problem? So really and truly, we should stop this thing. Honestly, I'm pleading with the authorities to stop this harassment of the central market women. It's not the right thing to do.
Interesting point you make there. What do you think about the lines carrying power to Burkina Faso, though? And
very important. And we've all, you remember, I think last year I organized a forum for the industry stakeholders to educate the lines that are coming up. The reason that Kumasi was always having challenges because there was a bottleneck. Now that the 330 kV is done, we can now evacuate power successfully to the northern part of the country so that we can now inject into the West African power pool. So it's a very good infrastructure that we have done. And for me, I think it will solve some of the problems that was creating a bottleneck of power in the Ashanti region area.
All right.
And by the way, we no longer have excess capacity in this country, so that conversation is out of the window.
We've spoken about it for so long. So can you explain what happened exactly?
Because we have grown as a nation. You know, in 2017, we had excess capacity because our demand was not as high. But over the last 6 years, we've grown about 200 to 250 megawatts a year. So we have catch up with the demand that we have. The 600 to about 800 megawatt excess that we have on top of what our demand is, it cannot be called excess capacity. It is what you need as your spin.
So sort of like a buffer, right?
Like a buffer, yes. So you need that in place just in case you have to do maintenance and stuff like that. So what Parliament need to do is to find out a way to get PULC to factor that our spin capacity into the prices that we pay.
Because so just to clarify, that whole rhetoric of we're paying for power that we're not consuming and all of that, we can flush it, you know, somewhere right now. It doesn't exist.
In 2022, I'll laugh at anyone who makes that statement.
All right. Let's wrap with this. Dr. Odrosai calls for lifestyle audit of civil and public servants. Of course, the Director General of the Internal Audit Agency, IAA, Dr. Eric Odrosai, has called for a lifestyle audit of senior civil and public servants in the country. He said such an exercise would not only check corrupt practices, but also help weed out corruption in the public sector. Quick reaction to that? We get into the Ghanaian Times.
Yes, Ben, I've always said that if you want to fight corruption, follow the money.
Right.
If you're really serious about fighting corruption, follow the money. If you follow the money, you will catch everybody who's corrupt. So he's dead right. You know, lifestyle audit will definitely tell you if somebody who is on a 5,000 Ghana cedis a month or on 8,000 cedis a month, their lifestyle is commensurate to what they are doing. They might say that their wife is doing something, whatever they are doing. So find out what their wife is doing. Find out what their children are doing. Find out the number of cars in their house. Look, we have come to a stage in life in Ghana where that's why it's sad when GRA does not computerize. All this digitization that we talk of is not being done in the right way, okay? You can have a simple platform that on one click of a button, you can check every single expenditure, receivables, and revenue of an individual and his household by just issuing people simple numbers. Now, in the UK and the US, they have either social security number or national insurance number. In Ghana, we don't know what we have. We had the TIN number. We now have a Ghana card number. We don't even know which one is which. So, people start talking about the digitization, not even understanding the management information system space. Today, everybody who has a company or wants to register a company has what you call a TIN number. Is that what is our identification in terms of tax identification and all those things? Or is it our Ghana card number, which is supposed to do that? It's really amazing. But what we need to do is to have one number which associates everybody. And that number can be given to children, can be given to everybody. Okay, and I don't think a TIN number can do that. A Ghana card, you can't take the biometrics of a child, so that wouldn't be the number. So we need to think about that old digitization thing to understand what we intend to do. We need to learn from the best. In America, they have social security number. Everybody knows their social number. The minute you are born, you are given a social security number. That is the number that tracks you till you die. And that, when the police stops you, they can tell whether you're a criminal, whether you owe child support, whether you owe whatever, by just pulling up your social security number.
Right.
Okay? We are spending all this money doing all these multiple things, and none of them addresses the fundamental problem in this country.
Let's get into two papers quickly. I'll link them because some of the stories are shared, so we can just digest the stories. The Ghanaian Times first, and then the Daily Guide. So, fight against galamsey. Ban small-scale mining. Religious leaders demand immediate action to save environment. That's on page 16, and it's also the banner headline in the Daily Guide newspaper. That's on page 3. But let me just give you some snippets of that. So, religious leaders in the country have called for an immediate ban on small-scale mining to prevent degradation and pollution of the environment. According to the religious leaders, many groups or companies hide behind a legal license to wreak havoc on the environment. The religious leaders representing the Christian Council of Ghana, Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Office of the National Chief Imam, Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission, Ghana, then National Association of Charismatic and Christian Churches, Council for Independent Churches, and parachurch organizations said this at a press conference in Accra yesterday. Quoting them, they described galamsey as ecological suicide and, quote, we call for a national stakeholders dialogue under the auspices of religious leaders to dialogue with all political parties, mining technocrats, the media, traditional leaders, and all stakeholders to commit to a non-partisan national strategy to sustainably deal with the canker of galamsey. But just hold your horses for me. There's also set aside 2.5% of GET Fund for citizenship education. Professor Kwashiga, my former dean at the School of Law, University of Ghana, says so, and that is what he is advocating. He says the setting aside of 2.5% of the Ghana Education Trust Fund, that is the GET Fund levy, as a special fund to promote responsible citizenship education is the way to go. Quick reactions to those two stories, and then I'll do one or two more from the Daily Guide.
Okay, so Ben, I think, unfortunately, I disagree with the church leaders. Banning small-scale mining does not solve the problem. The reason being that you cannot ban small-scale mining forever. It cannot be a permanent ban. If you look, people's livelihood are on small-scale mining. It's a way to also help Ghanaians.
Have you seen that recent video? Have you seen that recent video? TikTok, I think.
Yeah, I've seen that recent, but that is not a small-scale miner. That's not a small-scale miner.
No, I'm talking about the sad aspect of it, the other side of it.
I know, but the point is there's a difference between galamsey and small-scale mining.
No, that's the difference we all know. We all know that difference.
Yes, but so trying to solve the problem is not to ban small-scale mining. It's like telling me that because there are thieves at night, nobody should go out at night. It's not, it's not the same. Not everybody out at night is a thief. Not everybody out doing small-scale mining.
The problem is, for those doing what you saw in that TikTok video, they are basically saying, I'm going to do the worst, and there's nothing you, even as a state, as the CEO of the country, can do about it. So some are suggesting, just let go of all of it. And now, with the right policies backing this, let it be a phased approach to go back to what should be done. Is that wrong?
Ben, look, there are all the policies you need. The only two things that I have suggested on your show that doesn't exist is, what did you see in that video?
Yes, but the policies are there. They are not biting. You can't implement them.
Yes, but exactly. So the point is, if you ban it, you bring it back again. So we are back to square one. We've banned it before, and we brought it back. What you are trying to say is that ban it so everybody comes home. But the point is that at a certain point in time, there's going to be so much pressure on you to bring it back. When you bring it back, people will go back. Look, Ben, in that video, what did you see? You saw an excavator. I'm saying that let's track all excavators in the country.
Well, now we've been told that there will be sensors attached and all of that for tracking.
People can tag all these. Look, my brother, what I'm saying to you is that there are simple ways of doing this thing. And I've said on your show over and over and over again, make the financier of galamsey, of galamsey, culpable of the crime. So the financier will go to jail as the same guy as the guy in that TikTok video. They will all get the same sentence. Then all excavators in this country, tag them. It's the simple solution, because if you have tagged that excavator in that video, anybody in real time can tell where excavators are at any point in time. But going to ban people's livelihood, which is small-scale mining, is not the way to go. It's not. Because let me explain to you, where small-scale miners are not in rivers. Where small-scale miners are nowhere near forest reserves. So let's not just oppose the two. You're only going to ban small-scale mining. It's going to put too much pressure on government to go back to it, because it's people's livelihood.
Let's wrap, Kojo, with a few more stories.
Now, let me go on the issue of the money to be put aside on the citizen education.
Right.
Look, Ben, I've always said that there's supposed to be three things: decency, promptness, and urgency. Okay? Decency, promptness, and urgency. We don't have that in this country. So anybody wants to get Ghana working again, let's promote these three things. If we promote decency, urgency, and promptness, most of our problems will be solved.
There's also that same story, ban small-scale mining now, Christian Council saying so. But I won't sack Oforiatta. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. I don't know whether you've listened to what he said in recent times. NDC won't stop galamsey, Esiedun Ketsia says so. So let me just do that very quickly and move on. We're pressed for time. And outgoing General Secretary of the opposition NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketsia, has indicated that his political party has no plan of banning illegal mining, popularly called galamsey. According to the aspiring national chairman, the NDC's intention when it gets the opportunity to form a government in future would be to allow illegal mining to continue, but not stop it. Of course, there's a bit of a spin on what exactly he says, but it also reflects partly maybe what you're saying about sanitizing the system. But how do you respond to that? And to the other bit about, I won't sack Oforiatta, Akufo-Addo says so. Some say that going to the IMF with this kind of leadership in itself means that we're already shooting ourselves in the foot.
Well, I honestly think that we live in a country where people should have I don't even know the word to use, but people should be able to think for themselves and decide for themselves what they think is best for them. I mean, I can't speak for the finance minister, but if I was in his shoes, I would have resigned. That's what I think it should happen. I don't think it's about somebody sacking him. Because
Kwesi Kwarteng did not resign. He was sacked.
Yes, I know, but most people resign. Kwesi Kwarteng resigned because Kwesi Kwarteng
he was sacked. Actually, people were insinuating that he resigned. He came out to say he was sacked.
I know, but his one was unfortunate because if you listen to Liz Truss's interview a day before she won the prime ministership of this country of the UK, she said that she was going to announce her tax incentives and blah, 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 blah when she gets the premiership. And the minute she got the premiership, that announcement came through Kwesi Kwarteng. Kwesi Kwarteng had just basically fallen on the sword for Liz Truss, which is unfortunate. But let's not compare the two. What we are saying is that we are in a situation where when the IMF comes into town, everything the IMF wants to do is completely in opposite to everything that Ken Oforiatta stands for. Okay? So Ken Oforiatta cannot be the finance minister when the IMF is running the country and telling you what to do, because over the last 6 years, everything that you have basically done is in contrast to what the IMF will ask you to do. So on principle, he should resign. Okay. But if he doesn't want to resign on his conscience and want to start a job, I mean, why not? I mean, I'm not the one. So,
Kojo, I'm going to read out some headlines. You can respond to only one in 30 seconds and we go. Graphic business, economic turnaround. Akufo-Addo seeks private sector support. 22.3 billion Ghana cedis of imports not insured in 2021. Akufo-Addo tells radio listeners, the Chronicle, Mahama has failed the truth test on unprecedented road infrastructure claim. But 6 years on, we're here in the Ashanti region, there's a lot of talk, and he responded to that saying that, well, if the people feel they'll vote otherwise because of that, they can go ahead. Economy Times, CD to depreciate further. 30 seconds and we go.
I think the issue of CD would depreciate further is for me what I'll go for. I think the government needs to come out and give a roadmap, a very substantial way forward for us to rescue and basically prop up the strength of the city against the US dollar. Okay. The US dollar is very strong around the country, around the world, and everybody is having the same problem. So we need to basically put our act in order. Thank you.
Kojopoku, I like the way we push each other. It's been a good one. Thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Thank you, my brother. And good morning to everyone, the KMP family who is watching. I wish them a very blessed week. And it's going well. Ben, join the team.
You want to push me into this? You know I stay away from that wahala. Anyway, Kojopoku is an energy analyst. He joined me this morning. Always refreshing to have him. Thank you once more. Up next, we serve you sports. A lot of action coming your way. Do stay. Thank you very much for staying with us on the AM show. We're talking about your welfare and mine as we discuss exorbitant taxes and the complaints of traders. They are wailing, they are complaining about the situation. Last week, it was the Central Business District of Kumasi. This week, it is same in Accra. My colleague Bernice Abubedu-Lansa will be joining us from there in a bit as she gauges the mood. In fact, if you were watching our sister station, Adum TV, there was an interaction there with some of them in the local language, and it was interesting. One lady was complaining about how just a few days back, she purchased sandals that she sells. She's a retailer. And now the price has increased by 11 cedis in just a few days. So that is the reality. What do we do? Where do we go from here? Is it the right step for these traders to put down their goods, put down their tools and say, we're not working this week? There's also a response from other traders, the TAG, who are also saying, look, that's not the way to go. But helping us dilate on these matters, we have Sairam Kawo, senior lecturer with the University of Cape Coast School of Business, who joins the conversation. Mr. Kawo, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
It's a pleasure having you. So let's gauge, the mood right now. We know where the dollar price is currently. In some places, they are exchanging a dollar for 13 cedis. Just a few days ago, I had to transact, and trust me, I had to pay through the nose. Then there is the free fall of the cedi. There are the economic, times we have to go through, and the fact that a lot of the importation we do, of course, we have to pay for in dollars. The traders are reacting to that by saying the environment is simply too stifling for them. For you, well, putting down their tools, downing their tools and not working, is that a solution to start with?
For me, to start with, it's a 50-50 situation because the traders are also in business to make some returns. And if the returns that they are making, they are not actually meeting the costs involved in what they are doing, then they would be justified in putting their tools down. But then these traders must also know that they play a very important economic activity, the redistributive sector of the economy. And for that matter, laying their tools down might also affect them personally because the little that they are also getting on daily basis, they would be getting this amount of money. But then looking at the whole sector, the people who are going to lay down their tools might not be very much affected because they are going to be the wholesalers who will be laying down their tools. If the wholesalers are not selling, then those in the retail business will not be able to get their money to work with. In every type of business, there is the need for planning. And the planning would help you know the cost you are going to incur and the benefits that you are going to get. If you have planned and you've not taken into account inflation, the exchange rate, and the rest, that goes a long way to disrupt the plans that you have. And that is where we find ourselves today when the cedi is depreciating freely, the transport fares are going up, utilities have gone up. All these things go up in building the cost of the activities that these traders undertake over time. Now, let's also look at it from the viewpoint of the role these traders play in our economy. The sector that we are talking about is labor intensive, and they usually use the unskilled labor in the work that they do. And so they have also employed a lot of people. Most of the taxes that we get are from these people in terms of the VAT, the other taxes that are paid through the ports that we have, because they are the ones who import these goods. If these people are saying that the taxes that we are paying, initially you have a system that you have put in place that is accommodative for us, but now it's too high for us to pay. Let us sit down and look at it. I think in that way, they can also use some other means to call the government to order so that they sit down and look at the entire situation. But laying down their tools will have a dying situation on our economy, Ghana.
So it is interesting that you put it that way, because like I just mentioned to you, the cedi has slumped, now becoming the world's worst currency, the very worst. And these traders are saying that, look, we have to import, we have to buy. Those from whom we buy are purchasing these items in dollars, which means that they transfer the cost to us. And we also have to transfer the cost to the end user. And the end users are bailing out on us. Some are saying our prices are too expensive. Imagine that lady that was just speaking, like I said, on our sister television station, Adom, who is saying that, look, I purchased these sandals for X amount. In a few days, I've had to add 11 cedis per one. How much am I going to sell them for? People are simply not willing to fork out. And mind you, salaries have not increased any. So is this not reality for them? I mean, if business no longer makes sense, so to speak, do you still go ahead, run at a loss?
Thank you very much. This is the reality these traders are facing. If I am in business and the business that I'm into, I'm incurring more costs in doing that particular business, I would lay down my tools or look for other ways of doing the business that I am really doing. These traders, some of them, all of them are not VAT registered customers. If you are a VAT registered customer, you are not the one who is going to pay the tax. So you collect a tax on behalf of the government, and then you make a claim, and then you are paid back. But most of these people are not VAT registered customers. They can easily feel that, okay, this cost, we are pushing it to the customer. But most of them are also customers. Because businesses buy from each other. And for that matter, once they are not making their need, it is time for us as a nation to sit down with these people and find out what actually is affecting them. How much tax can they afford? Because we don't have any laws regulating prices that we have in our country. And we've been talking about this for some time now. There should be laws on price controls. If you go to the European countries, there are price controls on some commodities that they have. These commodities are necessaries. We can do without them. So there should be some amount of price controls that we have. We've talked about the duties that these traders pay on the goods at the port. There are some charges at the port. In fact, they are too exorbitant. The people who charge these prices play no significant role in the clearing of the goods. Some of the amounts go to individuals. And so when we are charging the taxes at the port, which are very high, we need to look at it. The exchange rate is just skyrocketing, and it's affecting almost everything that we do in our country. And so these traders are suffering. If they do not do their work, the economy will come to a halt. If the markets are not functioning, the economy will come to a halt. Markets are a significant aspect of every economy, and they make everybody better off. And so we need to go back to the system where the government says that the rate is fixed at the port. So for 6 months, this is how much you are paying. So the traders will be in a position to try and budget and plan for the things that they are doing so that we can raise the needed revenue. If the shops are closed down for how long, only God knows, these traders who want to close down their shops, government is going to lose revenue. Do we sit down and consider the loss of revenue over a period of time? These are issues that we need to look at very carefully. Otherwise, if we put up this I don't careism attitude and say that the traders are supposed to pay, if you cannot pay, close down your shop and we don't care, the loss of 1 cedi is very significant. And so we are already not getting the needed revenue that we need in our economy. And so there should be a second look at what the traders are saying, and government should sit down with them. It is a development issue. We are all working. The traders are working for the country. The tax collectors are working for the country. And it is high time these people sit down together and find amicable ways of solving the situation. Taking an entrenched position will not help the situation.
So interesting thoughts you share about the fact that the traders' loss will be government's loss as well. They will feel the shocks, but in the end, government will also not rake in the revenue as expected. Just hold for me, Mr. Cowell. Let me bring in Nana Poku, Secretary of the Traders Advocacy Group Ghana, TAG, they call themselves. Nana, a very good morning to you, sir.
And to your listeners.
Great. I'm looking at your latest statement, and we'll just put it up as well. It makes for interesting reading because while some traders have even stimulated the conversation and insisted that you should down your tools and not, engage in the activities you engage in, that is trading, you have a different idea. So let's just take a look at your statement before we start, our Q&A session. So you say press release on the ongoing crisis facing traders dated yesterday. And you say on behalf of the Traders Advocacy Group Ghana, I would like to welcome our friends from the media to this press conference. We have invited you here this morning as a matter of urgency to address the ongoing closure of shops by our members across the country. It is no exaggeration when we say trading in Ghana has become like Russian roulette, dangerous and unpredictable due to the harsh economic climate in the country today. The leadership of Traders Advocacy Group Ghana empathizes strongly with our members as we ourselves are traders and as such are facing these challenges on a personal level. The executives of TAG, in a bid to alleviate the pain of its members, have held several meetings with the leadership and administrators of the current government to put our problems to them directly and to demand from them answers to the dire challenges we're currently facing as traders. But after several meetings, we have learned with the utmost regret that the managers of the country's economy seem to have no solutions to the rapid depreciation of the cedi and the high cost of doing business in the country. We want to assure our members that we are unrelenting in our bid to force the managers of the country to find sustainable solutions to the current financial crisis. But in the meantime, we would like to urge our members to keep their shops open. Although closing our shops may seem to be the right way to protest this unbearable economic crisis, it will only worsen our problems as traders in the long term. We still have to feed our children and bear all our responsibilities in spite of the hardship. Currently, even with our shops open, we are unable to do so effectively. So what then happens when we close our shops? The interest on our loans will keep piling up. Our children's fees will remain unpaid, and we shall lose the very few customers we have been trying to maintain. It goes on to talk about the fact that you actually believe that closing our shops will not affect the exchange rate, but will rather spell doom for our already struggling businesses. I'll cease right there. What exactly, what was the rationale behind putting out this statement? Was it because other traders had said that they were going to, lay down their tools and not work? Was that fundamentally what spurred you on to put out this statement?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to further throw more light on what we actually put out there yesterday. As you went through reading the message, I think the message explained itself. You, the host, you completely understand the message this press conference carries. My brother, it is a fact that the managers of this economy have completely failed. They failed. Willfully failed. But when it comes to trading, we are individual bodies who have gone in for a loan or a family money, friends' money, putting it together to trade. We are not saying that you cannot express your displeasure. Do. That is why we have directed all our members to wear red armbands, red shirts, black shirts, put red banners in front of their shops, just to signal the displeasure from us, the traders. That is the diplomatic way of handling the situation. Because if you say you are a trader and you are going to close your shop, no problem. The government is failing and you, the trader, is also failing. So you think just to come in, you think any trader who stops doing what they do is failing just as government is failing? I'm telling you, the whole situation is very dicey. But we are keeping our people to work. Our members, the other side of the organization doesn't control every trader in the country. Traders have been segmented, like we have teachers, we have NAGRAT, we have NAT, we have Concern. That is how the trader body is now. So we are urging our members that the situation is dicey, and indeed, government is engaging us. If we go on demonstration, it is the same government element that will invite us to come and sit down and talk. Government has initiated the talk already. All right? That we are talking. Why should we advise our people to hit on the street and go back to who? To negotiate, to talk about our plight. That is why we actually deduce the strength, the wisdom around it, and we are telling our members that, look, all that we are saying is right. But where you earn a living is a place where your heart is. You should not close that place because it is feeding multitudes of your family. It is buying fuel for your car. It is paying your tithe in the church. That is where you work. Don't close it, but express your displeasure in a different way for the government. My brother, if we close all shops in Ghana today, tomorrow, would the dollar rate change? It's a question I'm putting out there. The managers of this economy failed. They have completely failed. Because the one leading, look at UK, what happened over there? The man did not fail UK like Ghana Finance Ministry has failed Ghanaians. He just made a budget that seemed to affect the economy, just a slightest shock. They say, Master, put your tools down. What about?
So what are you saying? You're saying government has failed. So what will help, in the situation, the sacking of the finance minister? I mean, based on the analogy you're making.
In football, you are a football fan. If we put the day are you on the field and the day is not putting the measures that will give us a result, the coach alongside the pitch will definitely pick him up and say, Massa, come and sit down small, okay? Let a fresh limbs come on the field so that something can change. And immediately that is done, the formation is quickly changed.
So I want you to be decisive. You think the finance minister should be sacked? That's what you're saying.
Oh, my brother, I am a leader. I don't just talk. What I have put across there, if you think about it, you will mean what you will understand what I actually mean.
Right.
Okay? I don't have to say it.
Okay.
It is clear to everybody that they have failed. But the traders that I shepherd or that I lead, I will not lead them astray for them because we have loans that we are paying. We have so many things. Our money have bent. If I was using just 100,000 in January, February to trade. Now the money is $46,000. A whooping sum is gone. My brother, the situation is so dicey, the situation is so bad that we don't even know what to do. But we will demonstrate in a way that government will actually try to salvage the situation. But we will not close our shop. That one is never.
All right. I get the point, and I want us to build the conversation step by step based on what you've been telling us in that latest statement. So you say that this is not the time for traders to close their shops. Just this morning. So hold for me. Just this morning, I was sharing how on our sister station, some traders were engaging one of my colleagues, and they were saying that one, said that she was purchasing sandals wholesale at a certain price. Just a few days ago, she has to pay an extra 11 cedis on one now. And she simply can't do this because passing on the cost, I mean, people keep asking, why is it so expensive? And people are not purchasing it, which means that her money is locked up and she can't go and come. She can't make ends meet. Put that side by side with the fact that the watchers of our economy, economic analysts are saying things are actually not going to get better anytime soon. In fact, that the cedi is going to slump even further. Even now, it is the worst performing currency in the world. Now it's no longer second, it's the worst. And the economic watchers are saying it's not going to get better anytime soon. So until when do you feel the traders can lay down their tools, if not now?
That is why we have educated our members on making sure that their capitals are not depleted by making sure that the marks on their goods are worked on very well so that it can be passed on no matter what.
So the move basically is ensure that you are passing on the cost, pass it on to the consumer.
Because of somebody's negligence. So what we are actually urging our members to do is that make sure your little capital that is left is salvaged so that at the end of the day, if the dollar keeps rising, consumers should also understand that at the end of the day, the prices of goods will also go up. So it is not by any fault or any means that traders sometimes intentionally increases goods and services within the market. No, it is the dollar. So it all boils down with the communication we are having this morning that the government has failed. The manager is a poor manager. All right? He doesn't know what to do when it comes to economical. When a ship is sinking and you have a very good captain, president will do everything to save those on board. All right? And at the end of the day, the ship will not go to the deck of the sea. So we have people in the current administration, from the leadership, you could see that they've completely failed.
So tell me, how then do you react to, Mr. President, the banner headline in the Daily Guide today says, "I won't sack Oforiatta." That's according to Akufo-Addo. And he says there's no reason to sack the minister. Let me just make the point. He says there is no reason that he is performing.
Hold on a little bit. Hold on. You see, if you have a president who intends to rule like this, definitely the ship will sink. All right? We don't do that. We don't put family ahead of an economy that is failing. You see, I don't hate the man. I don't have anything against him. But I'm telling you, his rhetoric are sometimes not accepting. Anyway, I am a trader. But if you are a president and things are going this way and you think you can come out and say this to Ghanaians, you are okay. This is sheer negligence of power. I'm telling you. And I'm telling Ghanaians that the president should revise his notes when he is coming out. He should act like a man. Not like this is a woman approach. I'm telling you.
So you're basically saying that you're going to force the hand of government. In your statement, you say, we want to assure our members that we are unrelenting in our bid to force the managers, force is the word you use, of the country to find sustainable solutions to the current financial crisis. But in the meantime, we would like to urge our members to keep their shops open. How exactly are you going to do this? How exactly are you going to force government?
What we are going to do is...
Government can't force the CD to rise.
Good. At the same time, the word force we use over there will apply on the prices of the goods. All right? If you have money, you buy. If you don't have money, then you can stay wherever that you are. Okay? We will not trade and lose our capitals. No. We will not. So that is where the force, that word, that is how it implies. We will make sure that we will not lose our capitals. And if the dollar moves one step, we will move 1.5 steps. If you are a consumer and you are ready to come and buy, come and buy. My brother, ever since I started doing business, I have not seen dollar going up and coming down again. Never. So the situation currently should be managed by all traders. And that is the gospel truth. The situation we find ourselves now should be managed, please quote me very well, should be managed by all traders. It shouldn't be a situation where an expectation is on the look that something can be changed that much or dramatically. When we met them, they made us understand, or they made us to get the drift that they have failed. They are waiting for syndicated loans. They are waiting for IMF before they can cushion the economy. And if you are a president, people are wailing, expressing a whole lot of woes on the economy, and you talk like this. It's not good. I believe maybe the journalists have tweaked the speech of the president. But for me not hearing from him directly, I will not buy it. But I have made my point.
Nana Puku, we are grateful that you took the time to speak to us this morning. Of course, he is with the traders.
Let me also use your big platform to tell traders that please, we are in trenches of everything that we see around us. Don't close your shop. Keep your shop open, but continue the aluta. Wear red bands, wear red shirts, put banners in front of your shop, telling everybody that is coming in that the economy has failed. So if you are coming...
Nana Poku speaking.
Thank you very much.
Right. Nana Poku, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Very passionate about the situation, and we all are. He is General Secretary of the Traders Advocacy Group Ghana. But let's also bring into the conversation Murtala Mohammed, Member of Parliament, Tamale Central, also a member of Parliament's Trade and Industry Committee. Mr. Mohammed, a very good morning to you, sir. Hello, Murtala Mohammed.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning to your cherished listeners.
Great. Thank you for joining the conversation. It's been a while. I hope things have been well from your end.
Yes, I'm currently in the constituency, actually.
You're in Tamale Central?
Yes, I climaxed the free extra classes organized for the BECE students, and we finished distributing the mathematical sets and the TNT for them.
So we're bringing you in because we're talking about trade, and we want your analysis. You already know what the dollar rate is currently. I mean, depending on where you go, I got it for $12.50 just on Sunday. Some are saying it's $12.40 official rates. Some are saying as high as 13 cedis. There's also talk, when you read today's Economy Times, that the cedi is set to depreciate even further. Let's start the conversation from there, because this entire trade bubble we're going through, what the traders are facing, is on the back of the American greenback. What do you see when you look at our currency slump, now making it the worst in the world?
Well, good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers. There is no denying the fact that we are where we are because of incompetence, ineptitude, and lack of coherent policy interventions. And let no one blame the economic challenges we have, particularly the depreciation of the cedi, to any external force. There is absolutely no reason to blame it on any external force.
Are you saying the external forces of COVID-19 and the Russo-Ukrainian war don't exist? Is that what you're saying?
The COVID-19 as a reason, the better. The reason why I say we should not blame it on external forces. Let's look at the COVID-19. Ghana was not the only country that was hit by COVID. As a matter of fact, when I listen to government and government officials saying that we manage the COVID-19 than any other country, for me, it's insulting. How do you manage COVID-19 than our neighbors? When many people died in Ghana than even in Nigeria as a result of COVID-19. When many people died in Ghana than in Ivory Coast, in Burkina. The best way you can manage COVID-19 is that when you register fewer deaths. And I'm saying this because if you look at the number of people who died in Ghana, juxtapose that with our population and calculate the percentage, many people died in Ghana than in many of these countries. So to that extent, they managed COVID-19 than us. But none of them went to the IMF for $3 billion loan in the name of COVID. None of them went to the IMF for that. None of them went to the World Bank for $906 million loan in the name of COVID. None of them got about 300 million euro from the EU, and none of them dipped their hands into all manner of funds established by their countries for the purposes of COVID. So when I hear government officials say that COVID and that we manage COVID than any other person, I get extremely angry. But Ben, let me ask you one simple question, and I expect the media to also ask these questions. And I'm going to file the question because I filed the question before Parliament went on recess. And this Minister for Finance refused to respond. I'm going to file the question the moment Parliament resumes. That the Minister for Finance should tell us, this COVID levy we are paying, the COVID levy was imposed for the purposes of the so-called free water and free electricity they gave the people of this country. How much they have collected as a result of COVID levy, we don't know. As to whether we have paid more than enough to take care of the free electricity and the free water, nobody knows. Assuming that they have collected this COVID levy, that is more than the amount of money they claim they spend for people in the name of COVID, that would be extortion. We are going to demand. But then we are where we are because we are hugely import dependent. That is where we are where we are. We are where we are because we import more than we export. Why are we hugely import dependent? We are hugely import dependent because this government is failing or gross incompetent to continue with some of the policy interventions that were introduced by the ND. I'll give one classical example. There was a ban in the importation of rice by small rice importers into this country. When I was reshuffled from Minister of Trade, Information to Trade, the small rice importers petitioned the ministry to lift the ban. The big rice importers also petitioned. So what I did as the deputy minister who was in charge of trade, what I did was that I constituted a team which was sanctioned by the minister. The team, I deliberately allowed someone who is a leading member of MPP to lead the investigation. And that person was Mr. Kofi Kapito. When they led the investigation, their report was that the ban should be maintained. And as a result of that ban, we were not spending so much. Remember, as late as January 2017, when we handed over the reins of this country to this government, we were spending about $500 million importing rice and poultry products into this country. When they came, they lifted the ban because those small rice importers financed their campaign. We are spending over $2 billion today importing rice and poultry products into this country. Now, what it simply means is that every year we have to look around our economy, get the over $2 billion to import something we have the capacity to produce. And let no one tell me that we couldn't produce. In 2014, there was a reduction in the importation of foreign rice into this country by 40%. And there was an increase in the production of local rice by 60%. So there was a direct correlation. So within, calculate, 7th January 2017 to date, how many years? About 6 years. We moved from $500 million in the importation of rice and poultry products to over $2 billion. In fact, on the 18th, in 2018, the then Deputy Minister for Trade, Honorable Awonkalin, when he met the Taiwanese businessmen, he boasted that Ghana is spending over $1 billion importing rice into this country, and the majority of the rice we import it from Taiwan. So
Murtala, I'm going to have to do this, begging your pardon. I just want you to hold for me a bit, you together with Sairam Kawo. Just hold for me a bit. My colleague Bernice Abubedu-Lansa is in the Central Business District of Accra, and she's going to pick the thoughts of these traders on the very things you're talking about. So, gentlemen, please hold for me. Bernice Abubedu-Lansa joins us from the Central Business District. Bernice, if you can hear me, where exactly are you, and what are the sentiments being shared with you?
This morning, I'm coming to you from Okaishi. We're here to assess the impact of the intended closure of shops by GUTA and other trade unions. It's quite a busy morning here, and I'm going to speak to a few customers who are here to get some items for their shops, and we'll be asking them what exactly their concerns are. There's a lady who would like to speak to us. Let me find out what her name is. Good morning, Pacha Frosing.
Esther.
All right, Esther. What is a GUTA for sale? Nampel close shops. Now, what do you saying?
In Pacho, ya tipa. Yensu, Yasha and Kebehaye. Na Yensu, SNC, BECE. You better transit. Na yes, I dear no. Na sena Edmano Cosun. Yensu Yamusu. It's a Baba Fanyamana. Yeah, man, Yanashi. Yanashi, in Fasonia, there are 2 more. Ukwa, Nipo Ding. And I do mana yensu more Makojilo nomri Jumanu. Ukwa, Edman ya loan, Utiano interest in Susun. And Tamaya she was man will interest in the Glasgow Uriatia. Well, when I call Bassa or Ghana, it's okay that I can ask Zelia Jumansu. Who do me find man? And do me fat and Siambia, Ukagotonsa by Biom, and Zofruka. I say, Quasiabono Mobuyen. I buy no, I was not, or buy or cancel about a boy ma, and a gun of man. I see a ye bre or Ghana. Ye bre pan, Kola Munya bre. And see, there were costing
All right, so this lady says that they make no profit from the items they come to purchase to retail. And so they said that every time they come, the prices have been increased. They're really struggling. She was hoping that, as this government said, it will take care of women like herself and other citizens. But she's realized that it's not exactly as the government promised. She is also saying that she doesn't think that the internet closure of shops will help too much. But let me continue my conversation with her. Good for say, Omoni abaya kasasa, omoya suggestions ama buying, but akwaya to send ya buying tea or money. So person mu 2 shops nim now buying who so when ya break. Send ya or how na yeni na ye femuno esobete.
Embajo ye pepa, ye pesentum. Ye 2 stores nyam. Kamin kwanga ye 2 stores ma ka bia nso nye adwuma kan. Na ye unza Ghana obi a upa nanti bra. Ye pe. Na and Tuesday anka wo beba ana say shops no mu betu mu ntina waba and Tuesday me dey me ba e tell me tin wa ha nti anytime bia me wo krum nti so mu to shops ni ma how would you survive e better na see e better na if 3 days anya hwe mai na we didie mu oh obi wo mo ka wo ye adwuma ese mo baba on kakra nti bia wo bibi kakra ka wo fie bedi na so na be boa ya wo kire no embra from kakra. Right, so she's also saying that she supports the closure of shops after I explained to her why Guter is taking this action. She also says that she would wish that all vehicles would also not move to join the protest. I was asking her how she was going to keep body and soul together if the shops were closed, and she said, well, she's got a few items she could rely on. So let me move on to another customer here. Hello, sir. Good morning, please.
Good morning, madam.
What's your name?
Oh, Mr. Dakun.
Mr. Dakun, na good for you mumbe 2 shops mu. Na anope adienti na wabaha.
Come phone me about me be no no ya tumu. Ya stop one phone store no kura dem woye.
Ni ama be isa na.
The plate and a boss. Me be no obnya mboye ya temba but 2 hours ni. Almost new ayeba low price abanti antwansa. Inti ndua ye ba na price different na bia ba no abaka tumu biem inti madam wo hwe a in fact ayedin pa yentimi nto hwe wo ton so a wo fa ko ton so a ne bo ye de wo so ba tintin sa ye nto wa na aye oka na plate no so no emu ye du pa emu ye du na se wo so na se nton so a wo ba bre
plates ceramic bowls. No. All right, so Mr. Daka says he's here to pick some ceramic bowls and other ceramic wares to go and sell. But his concern is that every time they come, the prices increase. He tells me that yesterday the prices were different. In fact, I met quite a number of people here earlier, right before coming on air. But they've all dispersed because the managers of the shop say they cannot come in now. They have to adjust the prices based on what the market is telling them at the moment. In fact, I spoke to the manager who says he cannot speak to me because he's not the owner of the shop. But he says that they have heard Guter's announcements. They were just hoping for further announcement which will reinforce the decision. What I'm able to say about that is that Guter says at 11:30 at the conference center today is going to make an announcement and give details of this closure. Generally, Mr. Dakon, what brabo muti saying?
Oh, father, say, enkoye kura, enkola 9. Wow, omye 9. Adma na me na rehwe omoso. Say enkoye kura, enkwa because and say the father 14 cedis. Ndem buy no omda 18 cedis.
That's 4 cedis extra.
Yes, was this year almost a new price as about the transfer. Well, until your transfer, but 2 hours in it. Until your train on Buana,
well, I'm wrapping up with Mr. Daku here. He says that he has 9 children and things are difficult for him at the moment. He purchased these items, 14 cedis per item. Now it's 18 cedis, and he's even thinking that it's going to be increased further because the shop owners say they have to adjust the prices. I'll walk over to the other side of the road and speak to some shop owners themselves, but let me engage one more trader here. Good morning, sir. What's your name?
Joseph Fabio.
Okay, Joseph, what are you able to tell us about the current situation?
Me pesa me kachi na
me pacho kachi
na Ghana fo nyina nti se sisi ade. In fact, Se awurade amemu a edene kura kyerɛ sɛ baabi a wobɛfa bia obi atoto ne nneɛma baabi a wobɛfa bia obi atoto ne nneɛma kyerɛ sɛ yɛnhu deɛ yɛnyɛ sisi a me no kasa
na oton deɛ yɛdɛn na wobabeto
me befa plate koma customers wɔ hotels ne ɛwɔ tema jowlu 37 nom customers wɔ hɔ a ya ɔmo frɛ sɛ ebia ɔmo pɛsɛ ɔmo sisa ɔmo plate ɔmo bowls a ɔmo use ma customers na ayɛ dada ebia ɔmo sisa mu a no ma frɛ me na mababa abɛhwɛ.
Me Pacho, hold on for me, Kakra. Joseph says that he deals in plates and other ceramic wares. His customers are mostly hoteliers who need to change some of these wares quite often. He started his submission by saying that things are extremely difficult, and if God does not step in, he doesn't know how things are going to be like. So he's a retailer. Most of the people I've spoken to here come to this shop, the one behind me, and other shops in the Okaishi area to come and purchase items for retailing. In Tisisiano, Ususu said then I'll buy Enyemfa Asemihu.
I am in one was say, ye papa penny, mam penny. There's a near no coso, na ontimi can be amfa ho. My dad in who I'm in Tiasia.
Now, Ocaso ontimi can be amfa ho. A dear or person or Kafa ho.
One no young papa. Only a penny, only a BBI or Ghana. And that is a BB in Cosia. Or no woman as a catcher no mrem. Obemo am fi se bibia bet myself.
Na so ministers was different people or more handle various sectors of the economy or trades minister or finance minister near there nti no eno no susu say o se so bia na femu de
ne mpanyimfo na wa frefre o mo se o mo ne da sa nwumanyuma na no me hu de o mo ye o mo nya hwe o mo nwene ye ho o mo pese yen kan bibi ba yes, you empese ebe kan bibia.
Na say aban say oko IMF wagye atumu se nneema mu ye dindie. In fact, enra mampin Ekufado okasa o Tech FM wo Kumasi. No say o wagye atumu se IMF na ye koye no na hard decision for him. Na easy say obe decide but as say ye because o wagye atumu se nneema mu ye din. Nti no susu se ususu sen.
Anu de no kure nneema mu de ayedin ama Ghana babia. Even me kura meti makase bia nye Ghana nko nanu kura meti se even Egypt for kura no na se ahokyere kakra aba wo so wo mu kuro mu ho no but ye de ye kan ye de mu ha in fact no kura se aye de ne de na so asese wotimi ye bibi kakra ebia ne se nanu me ba ha se me ba beto ade ne 25 cities ade tin se me ba 28 and new price and omo san ba ye minim de omo san ye amanako that means also papa no sorry no nka bibi nkere ne nkrofo na omo
pese or addressing nation na because me pese me hu okay so Joseph is asking President to he thinks that the president doing that will also show his commitment to solving the problem. He also agrees that, well, there may be a general global crisis, but he is speaking about his situation here in Ghana, and he thinks that the president can do a lot more together with his various ministers. Let's cross over now. We'll be wrapping up shortly, but it's now time to hear from the traders themselves, okay? Some of these wholesalers. We'll speak to a gentleman, so they're calling me, so you can imagine that everybody has something to say about what's going on, and I'm just being called to come back.
So you heard some traders, sharing their thoughts there. Bernice was going to interact with some other people. We've lost the sound. As and when we get back that sound, we'll reconnect with her and have her share with us what the sentiments are of the people there, both purchasers and sales people. But let me come back into the studio. So, Murtala Muhammad, you are making a point. I'll just take your extended remarks and then move on to Sairam Kawo. You see the real picture on the ground. And for some of them, they are shutting down their shops today. What do you think about that move?
Ben, first and foremost, like I indicated, that we were spending over $2 billion. The syndicated loan we are going for is about $1.3 billion, isn't it? If we had continued with the visionary policy of the NDC, I don't think that would have been going for syndicated loan for monies that we had the capacity to have prevented some, few years ago. Ben, I came here because of the classic we had, and also to start the harvest of my rice farm. I know bigger rice farmers in this part of the country. Honorable Tanko, the former Yaba Kubori MP, has thousands of acres of rice, including our brother, Honorable Akando, has a lot of acres of rice.
You mean Kwabena Menta Akando?
Yes, Honorable Akando.
Right.
He also has, in fact, he's mailing them. And Honorable Tanko is the biggest, producer of rice. He has thousands of acres. Avnash, that rice processing company, has stockpile of rice in their warehouse. Government is unwilling to buy local rice. Go to NADMO. The other day, I was with the PRO of NADMO on a program, and he admitted that they buy imported rice for disaster management in this country. When we have rice in this country that are produced that are of the same quality standard with the imported rice and that are cheaper, yet you have a state institution like NADMO that buys imported rice, go to the buffer stock. The buffer stock is struggling, yet the leadership of buffer stock are living in millions. And everybody knows that how it is suffering. So I'm saying that it is the policy intervention of this government. They are so incompetent, they are unwilling to do that. But let me talk about Guta. Unfortunately, there has never been any government who disrespected and disregarded Guta than this government. But they are not talking. You can call the leadership of Guta, the current president. He was the secretary when I was the deputy minister for trade. And we had a 24/7 open door policy with them. In fact, the current president could call me as late as 1 a.m. Ask him. This government took decisions, or they continuously take decisions without even involving them, and they themselves publicly have indicated that they don't involve them in some of the decisions they take. The reason why they don't want to talk because they are so political. Guta is the only organization who supported a political party in an election. You remember what their members did at Ubusukai? They contributed 200,000 Ghana cedis for this government. The traders recently in Kumasi also contributed for the MPP. So that is why they are not talking. I can bet my last penny. If the NDC was in government, Guta would have done the worst. But they are unable to do this because this is a government they finance, a political party they finance.
But shouldn't we be able to detach the politics from it? This morning, I watched a trader who admitted on our sister station Adom that she had voted for this administration, but things were not going well, and she was calling on the president to, salvage the CD and all of that. I mean, can't we take the politics out of it? The reality is that the traders are suffering, and they are pointing out that issue.
We talked about the suffering, but I'm saying that they are political. I am not doing the politics. I'm saying that they are very political. Look, you just interviewed one woman or one gentleman. The last interview before the voice, we lost the voice. He said yes, and he had that. Yes, there are problems everywhere. He made reference to Egypt. That is not true. That the dollar, the Egypt money is not as disastrous as our money.
Is it not true? Is it not true that Egypt is also in dire straits? That they've been impacted by the Russo-Ukrainian war, and in fact that they are also seeking an IMF bailout. Is that not true?
No, their currency is not as disastrous one as ours. That's one. Two, Egypt imports virtually the food they eat from Ukraine. That's one thing you should know. I am saying that they may not have the capacity to produce. We have the capacity to produce, and we have done it in 2014. So it has got nothing to do with Ukraine-Russia war. Absolutely nothing. Are you telling me when we had economic challenges, we didn't face economic meltdown? We had economic challenges under the NDC. Is that not the case? So I'm not talking about we doing the politics, but the Guta members have been very political. If they themselves have indicated that they have not been consulted in decisions they take, but let me just leave Guta. Are you not surprised that this Minister for Finance is still at post? This Minister for Trade is still at post. Are you not surprised? Tell me one area Ken Oforiatta can boast of a success story. Tell me one area. He is there because he uses Oforiatta. It's as simple as that. Look, there are leading members of MPP who are now speaking out. Ken Oforiatta is still the Minister for Finance. Tell me, and I want you to tell me this area, this minister can boast of a success story, one area. The only area perhaps he can boast of a success story is that he has succeeded in being in white throughout his appointment till now. There is no any success story. And when people make criticism genuinely, they say it's NDC. Civil society organizations, some of them are speaking out. Academia, they are speaking out. Everybody is speaking out. Look, we can go for any syndicated loan. We can do whatever. It will change until we change the policy direction. And that is why Albert Einstein once said that the significant problems that confront us can never be solved with the thinking we had when we created them. As long as we still spend over $2 billion importing rice and poultry products into this country, something we have the capacity within the shortest possible time to change, we'll continue doing this. Why are we still spending money buying foreign rice for NADMO? Does it make sense to you, Ben? Does it make sense? It simply doesn't make sense. And it isn't that local rice is not available. It is available. Government doesn't want to buy because NADMO is being buying from some people, then they are getting their cut. That is the reason. If not, I can't fathom. Why do we still spend the country's money to do this? Why did they lift the ban? Why did they lift the ban? When they know that what they have done is affecting us. And why did we reduce importation of rice and increase the exportation of rice in 2014, 2015? It means that that policy was working. Why did we do this to ourselves? Look, I empathize with traders. I have been a NADMO, a GUTA member. Those who know me, my parents have always been businessmen. My late dad, my late mom, my stepmom, my brothers, my sisters, some of them are still in. I was always in managing my father's stores in the market. So I have been a member of GUTA. So I know how they feel. I know. The danger about it now is that even the items they brought, if they finish selling those items, they can't buy. The other time I heard Dr. Kabiru, who is the technical advisor to the most incompetent and talk shop vice president, Dr. Baumia, who said that what we are experiencing is imported inflation. And I asked him to substantiate on imported inflation. He said that from where we are buying the items, there are inflation. Look, ask the importers that items they are buying, where they are buying them, the prices haven't changed. If they were buying certain items at $1,000, they still buy the items at $1,000. It's just that our city has been mismanaged. What we are experiencing is not demand pull inflation. It is cost push. It is cost push inflation. That is what we are experiencing. So to be very honest, it has nothing to do with Ukraine. It has nothing to do with COVID. It has to do with gross incompetence. Simple and short.
All right. We're wrapping the conversation. Let me also bring in Sairam Kawo, who is senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Having looked at everything, digested everything that we've discussed, looking at the standpoint of the traders, some of them who are laying down their tools, then the TAG, the Traders Advocacy Group, that is also saying, don't lay down your tools yet, but government has failed in this respect. And listening to the traders themselves, what for you then is the way forward?
Thank you very much, my brother. It's really sad where we find ourselves today, especially when the secretary of that particular traders union said that we're going to force the government to do the right thing. And forcing the government, he defined it as pushing the cost to the customer, that if you like, you buy the item. If you have the money, you buy. If you don't have the money, you go your way. That actually shows us that there is no control in the trading subsector of our economy. the ministry responsible for trade and industry is not doing its work well, and there is the need for leadership to be shown in that particular sector of the economy. If that is not done, we're going to have traders, manufacturers taking their own decision and doing things that they are not supposed to do. I still call on the government to bring up some amount of controls in the trading subsector, some regulation in terms of pricing, and the rest must be brought on board. Everything that we're talking about here is basically because of the free fall of the exchange rate that we have. That particular side too, we need to look at the exchange rate. And once we look at the exchange rate and then work towards the rates that we have. I also call on government, though we want to raise revenue, we need to fix a particular rate at the port. This rate that we fix at the port will enable the traders function very well. That also fits into the price control that I am mentioning. This law on price control should not affect everything, and some necessities and some things that we know we can easily regulate, and then the prices across the country will be uniform over time. We are doing it for water, petroleum products, some alcoholic beverages are being, these controls are done on them, and so we can extend it to some other areas of the economy. The traders are also in the business to make money, all right, but then the amount of money they are also making, some way very exorbitant, higher prices that they are charging for the goods. There is the need for education of these traders in terms of price negotiation, contract negotiation, in terms of fixing the prices for their goods and services that they render. Most of them just fix the price as their secretary have stated, that push the cost to the customer, and then they push every cost to the customer. Some of their costs are fixed costs. They will not change over a period of time, but they want to recover this cost over 1 year period, and therefore pushing this particular cost to the customer makes things very difficult for everyone. And so the Ministry of Education can roll out some educational policies for these traders, and then get technocrats and experts that will go into what goes into your price that you are fixing over a period of time. There are some costs that these traders incur that are not necessary. These unnecessary costs, they push it to the customer, and the customer will have to pay for it. They need to look at these costs very well so that they can also cut down their costs, and then we make sure that our economy moves on very well. If they don't do these things and then we allow the economy to be run as if we don't have a leader for the economy, then we are in deep trouble.
Right.
To end it up, you ask people on the finance minister whether the minister is supposed to resign or not, and then the president saying that, yeah, this minister has performed creditably well. But as in football team, you can be the best player ever, and you can be the one who scores the most goals over time. But as you work, you age, and things will fall apart. There is the need for a substitute that will bring more energy, more vim, and more agility into the team, so that the team will be able to perform very well. In that respect, the president should revisit his notes and make sure that they bring some other people that will refresh the economy, that will bring fresh ideas. We accept that the finance minister and some other ministers have performed creditably well in the past, but things have changed, and therefore we need to go with the change. And the only constant in the world that we have is change, and the change must come now.
All right. Zakawo, thank you so much that you took the time to engage us, of course, senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Let me wrap the conversation with Murtala Mohammed. For you, what is the way forward? We appear to have lost Murtala Mohammed, unfortunately. We're grateful once more to all of those who have joined this conversation. Earlier, we had Nana Poku, General Secretary of the TAG, that is the Traders Advocacy Group, and they are saying government has failed, the Finance Ministry has failed. In fact, Nana Poku just stopped short of saying sack the Finance Minister, but he said it in not so many words. We've engaged all of these people on this conversation. Only time will tell how things go at the Central Business District of town today. We take a breather. There's a lot more that you can expect on the AM show when we return. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, let's talk the BECE now. It kick-started yesterday. It's going all the way to Friday. And of course, there are some problems that we are facing. We're going to be having a conversation on that shortly as I engage my guest on that all-important matter. You do know, however, that there was this student with a sufferer of cerebral palsy, of course, through no fault of his. And of course, the situation that came to the fore where, in fact, no proper systems had been put in place for people like this student who had to sit this exam. And so we're going to be interrogating some of these matters. We'll get into the issue as well of examination malpractice. We'll be joined by our guest shortly as we get into this conversation. And so this situation, it has kick-started, like I mentioned, and we'll be finding out what is also happening in the different regions as far as the examination is concerned. So we have joining the conversation Martina Bugri, my colleague, one of our correspondents. Martina, very good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
Right. So you're joining us from up north, the northern region, to be specific. What have the scenes been like in the northern region as far as the commencement of the BECE is concerned?
Largely, the region has not recorded anything untoward. Yesterday, they started with 2 papers. They started with ICT and social studies. Going through the various centers, all was set. They went into right without no hitches, except Kalpohini Senior High School, where they had to start late because that was the last center they sent the papers. And so there was a bit of a delay. But the regional minister intervened and insisted that the children be allowed extra time to be able to write the exams. And so they should make further arrangements to ensure that they all start today at the same time. And that was agreed upon, except that I think that largely everything went on smoothly, except with the issue of the how that we spoke about the day before yesterday and yesterday. He had a challenge, and that's the only thing that I...
Right. Martina, just hold for me. I'll be coming back to you on those who couldn't participate in day one of the examination. Let me also bring in Kwesi Kwarteng, who speaks for the Ministry of Education. He is PRO. Mr. Kwarteng, a very good morning to you. Hello, Kwesi Kwarteng.
Good morning. Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you now. It's been a while. I hope you're well.
I'm fine. How are you too?
We're managing under the circumstances. So tell me, the examination has started from yesterday, but we realized that some students were not able to participate in the examinations from day one. In fact, my colleague, Martina Bugri, was just making mention of saying, what measures are being put in place for such students?
Okay, thank you very much. Like you rightly indicated, the examination started yesterday for a total number of about 552,000 students, 276 candidates. And then it is important to also state that this time around, you had WAEC combining both the private exams, that is the exams conducted for the private students, and that of the Ghana Education Service students. So largely, the conduct of the exams is done by WAEC. Yesterday, GS had their monitoring team on grounds, and I think the feedback that we picked generally was that it's been a smooth process. Information about students not present or not coming to write, that is not novel. Almost every time you may have one or two of such incidents. But of course, it depends on the situation, and based on the situation, probably all consequential decisions will be done accordingly. So of course, unless of course we are briefed upon the particular circumstance upon which student A or candidate A was unable to write the exams. Other than that, the expectation is that all the 552 students who registered for the exams will tender in and write the exams.
So tell me, what are the circumstances, so to speak, that would warrant making any accommodation for some of these students? Because if they missed out on day one, it means they've missed out on some examinations. It just skips my mind. It just skips my mind.
Why will you? What was the circumstance upon which they picked the exam?
And I'm saying it just skipped my mind. I wanted to go to one of those specific areas, because there's this place, I'll just check for it, where students, quite a number of them, missed out on day one. I do not know whether it was miscommunication or the inability of the students to partake in the exam for whatever reason. But I'm saying that based on what circumstances, what would mitigate the situation to ensure that maybe you make them sit a different paper or something of the sort? Or is there no such provision for them?
I would have appreciated probably if I had a full brief and a full fact, then I should be able to speak to the full brief and the full fact. But of course now, if we are to assume that students were unable to come and write the exams, the whole country, everybody knows that between the 17th and the 21st, candidates who registered for the exams are supposed to sit and write the exams.
Kwesi,
yes.
Pardon my interjection. Let me hypothesize here. Let's say, the situation in some parts of the country where students have to go on canoes, sometimes they have to use impossible routes, so to speak. Let's assume some such situation crops up. There is rain or something, and they simply cannot make it. Are you saying that in such a circumstance, there's nothing that can be done?
I've not said that. So that's why I initially asked that if you could give me the full fact and the briefing as to what particular circumstance has happened. When the facts are there, we stick to the facts. If there are assumptions, I'm sure when such circumstances happen, all consequential incidental decisions will be made. The exams is not conducted by the Ghana Education Service. It's not conducted necessarily by the Ministry of Education. Largely, it's outsourced to the WAEC. And, we should not also assume that when 552,000 students register, by default, you are recording 100% turnout. Certainly people will genuinely not want to write. But I believe that based on the particular circumstance that will happen. Of course, I'm sure, if we want to probably extend the conversation, I would say that WAEC should be able to give us proper briefing on their other plans when it comes to such circumstances. I am yet to hear of situations where students were unable to, or candidates were unable to write the exams, probably because they mixed out because it rained or they had to paddle canoe or whatever. I am yet to hear of such circumstances, but I'm sure in such events, consequential decisions will be made by such authorities in charge. In America, they will say it's beyond my pay scale. I'm unable to, comment on incidents where I do not have direct authority to make decisions on them.
Let me also inquire from you. There's a situation, and maybe we can address those two-pronged issues. There's a situation with a student who suffers cerebral palsy. And interestingly, cerebral palsy.
Cerebral, okay.
Right. And this student, the parents were complaining that basically no provisions had been made to accommodate the student. So the last I heard was WAEC saying that they would make a computer accessible, I think, to the student, but the timing was going to remain the same. And some of us found that odd. With people who have such situations, of course, they need extra in some areas to be able to catch up with the rest.
I genuinely sympathize with such a parent, but we should not pretend that WAEC, some way, somehow, will be able to know exceptional and all the exceptional concerns of every individual, especially when it comes to the 550.
Kwesi Kwarteng, why not? WAEC is conducting the exam. They ought to know.
Why are we so interested in always finding a problem with every system? You ask the question.
Are you insinuating, Kwesi Kwarteng, that we are necessarily just looking for problems? You had the person out there reach out, and you're saying that we are looking for problems?
If you have your answer, there's no point of continuing.
If you don't want to engage, Kwesi Kwarteng, you can always cease this conversation. But the point is, you will not make that point that maybe we are simply looking for nitpicking and looking for problems. This is a real problem.
Let me tell you what you are doing here. What you are doing here.
You want to tell me what I am doing?
No, what you are doing here is so synonymous with joy, where they have to find problem where not problem exists.
So we created the problem with a person who suffers cerebral palsy, right?
You call the spokesperson of the Ministry of Education, you ask the question, the person is answering. The answer is not for you, the journalist. The answer is to the public, whether they are satisfied or it's up to them. You allow me.
I represent the public in this seat.
You allow me to finish my answer before you ask a different question.
Yes, but just to make the point, I represent the public in this seat.
Hold on. How was WAEC able to know that they are supposed to provide computer if at the end of the day the incident did not come to their attention? So we try to create a mountain out of a molehill. We are making it look like journalism is about finding fault about a system at every point.
I totally disagree with you, but I'll allow you to go ahead with your point, and I'll come back.
At the end of the day, you brought up a new concern. Indeed, if WAEC was not concerned about it, how did the whole arrangement of even bringing in a computer come in the
Just to chip in, at no point did I say WAEC was not concerned. Do go ahead.
No, but that is the impression that you sought to create. You are dealing with 500.
Fortunately, you don't get to think for me. I am saying I was not insinuating WAEC was not concerned. Go ahead.
You are dealing with over 500,000 students. Then you have one isolated incident where you brought up, and the organization has responded that they are going to do A, B, and C. If you are not satisfied, of course, there could be channels that probably the parents or whoever could be addressed. That cannot be a discussion on radio and create an impression that based on that, WAEC is being sensitive or the ministry is sensitive. At the end of the day, if you want to be sentimental about discussions, what do you solve at the end of the day? For me, what do you solve? What is this whole thing up to make WAEC look bad, to make it look like leadership is not reacting, to make it look like leadership is not concerned? At the end of the day,
my surprise is that you look at it from a very negative angle and think that it is to make anybody look bad. Institutions are meant to act in certain ways. The public, excuse me, hold on for me. The public has expectations of our institutions. If we call these institutions to actually answer to certain things that have happened, I don't see how that can be negative. But in any case, maybe provisions have been made for a computer. How about the time constraints? Do you feel it is fair for this person to be made to, under the constraints, health constraints they have, to function at the same, under the same circumstances, time constraints as other people who don't have their peculiar challenges?
What do you think would have been the fair time for such a student?
I don't think I am determining that, but people have posed that question, which is why I'm posing it to you.
What do you think should have been the fair time? The student should have been given, 7 hours to sit with one question. What do you think? That's what I'm saying, that we take things out of a context.
Do you think this person could have been given more time? Maybe not 7 hours like you're saying tongue in cheek, but could this person have been given more time?
Be given the right time. What do you think should have been the right time?
I don't determine that, but I'm saying that you are insinuating. No one is saying 7 hours. But do you think this person could have been given at least more time since they are not in the same circumstance as other students?
More time like what? More time like what?
It's obvious we're not going to get anywhere on that tangent. So let's move the conversation forward.
Listen, my brother, you are dealing with over 500,000 students. Then you have an isolated incident, just like you brought up, of one incident where that person needs a particular attention. The organization comes out to say that this and this is what we are doing about it. Then you sit on radio or TV and make it look like
if you don't want to have this conversation, I suggest we draw the curtains on it, because the aspersions you are casting are suggesting that maybe we just come on air to denigrate the system is unfounded, unfair, and if you don't want to have this conversation, you can let me know. We can end it.
No, I just want to tell you that sometimes those sensationalism and blowing things.
I can assure you we're not sensationalizing. If you found yourself in that situation or a relative, I'm sure you would think different. And I don't get the pushback, really.
No, give us ideal what you would have done. I did what you would have done.
I don't. Even if I were to put in a suggestion, I'm not a policy maker. You are. You are in a ministry that has some responsibility.
At the end of the day, and you sit here and run the whole, the system down. So tell us ideal situation. I'm not sure this whole journalism where you only find faults, try to blow things out of proportion, out of context is the way to go. It doesn't really help anyone. Yes, there could be challenges.
All right, Kwesi Kwarteng.
It's a dispassionate conversation over the issue.
Thank you very much. Before you go, I just want your quick thought. So examination malpractice and, what we've had to deal with time and again. What are your expectations as a ministry this year? And finally, to add to that, there have been some rumors, talk. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service, is he still at post? 2 quick questions, and then you can take leave of us, if you may. Oh, it appears we've lost Kwesi Kwarteng. A bit of a fiery one there, but for me, what I find rather interesting sometimes is how people who are supposed to speak on these matters and respond to issues that, you see, sometimes I feel these people don't get it. When I sit here, I don't just come and reflect maybe what I know or think. Sometimes I pose questions that I already have answers to. But it's so the public will be educated. And so, for the life of me, I cannot understand why, if a question is posed about someone I've dealt with in the past, people who have some of these cognitive issues, and someone who suffers from cerebral palsy, so obviously, cannot be treated the same way as someone who does not. So what measures are we putting in place? Whether 500,000 or 600,000 or 700,000, we must know who is in what position and how we can assist them. And if you say these things and it's sensationalism, then God have mercy on us. But let me go back to Martina Bugri. You were making a point about some of these students who were not able to sit the exam on day one. If you could wrap on those comments, and let me also bring in Rafiq Salam.
For the Northern region, the 2 centers that I visited, all the students were present. That's the Kalpohini and the Ghana Senior High School centers. All the students were present. And the issue I was raising was Carl's case, the boy who has cerebral palsy. He had to start with his colleagues and finish with his colleagues, but obviously time was a problem. He told me that he couldn't finish the last part of the exercise because of time constraint. And so his plea was that if at least some 30 or 20 minutes could be added to him, it will help him a lot.
Was that eventually done?
No, time was not allowed. Extra time was not allowed for him yesterday. We don't know what will happen today, but for yesterday, the papers he wrote, he had to start with his colleagues and end with his colleagues. One other thing is he had to bring his own laptop as well to be able to undertake the exams.
Right. Very interesting snippets there. Do hold for me, Martina Bugri. We have Kwesi Kwarteng back on the line. Kwesi, thank you for rejoining. So 2 quick questions I posed while we lost you. The first has to do with examination malpractice. It has marred our exams, even at the basic examination level for some time. What are the expectations of the Ministry of Education on that? And there are also these rumors.
Can you take that question again?
So, examination malpractice, what are the expectations of the Ministry of Education on that as far as the BECE is concerned this year?
Yeah, I mean, last year, for instance, the Minister for Education has spoken about generalization of questions, which WAEC apparently took it upon themselves, and the questions were serialized mostly at the regional, on regional basis. I am personally yet to see the questions this year, but the expectation was that WAEC, even though independent body assets may be, take a cue from last year's arrangement where we never had an incidence of leakage based on the serialization of the questions. And we hope that they repeat them. And of course, we based on that, we should expect that at the end of the day, we shouldn't hear incidents of leakages. But of course, to put this also in a certain broader perspective, not all the news about leakages may necessarily be leakages. Some of them are also more practices, of which we condemn in ultimate terms. In an instance where, for instance, you have a student or a teacher or any person who happens to be in close contact with the question, especially when the exams is being held, takes a picture of any of the exams questions and happens to be on social media, especially at a time where the candidates themselves are in the exams or in our writing. That is the more practice. It may necessarily not be construed as a leakage, but of course, so far as we are within the public space and we see on social media, we may call it a leakage. But at the end of the day, these are all instances that we condemn as a ministry. If we look at the WAEC press, of which I'll refer you to, I think it was signed by the PRO, Madam Agnes Kujo, you realize that they've apparently put out some steps in mitigating issues of leakages and more practices. And as a ministry, we also encourage everybody to adhere to the rules of the exams and eschew all manner of more practices. It has always been, of course, just like last year, how we never recorded the incidents of more practice. So that is the expectation that we are very confident that WAEC should be able to replicate what they did last year, so that issues of leakages may not come in.
My final bit to you, just a bit of a curiosity. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwa, is he still at post? Has he been reassigned?
Come again?
The Director General of the Ghana Education Service, has he been reassigned? Is he still at post?
Yesterday I spoke to him in the office. I have not had any news as contrary to yesterday when I spoke to him. He was still at post as of yesterday. Today I have not had any contrary news. So far as I'm concerned, based on yesterday, I established contact with him, of course, in regards to the work that we did when he was at post, he was at the office. I'm unable to, speak to any other or contrary, happening as of today, because I have not been briefed of any other thing.
Thank you, Kwesi. Always good catching up with you, and we wish you the very best. Kwesi Kwarteng is PRO for the Ministry of Education. Let me bring in Rafiq Salam, my colleague, all the way from WA. Rafiq, what can you report on the BECE? How are things going in the Upper West region?
Things in the Upper West region is going on smoothly. The exam started yesterday with a total of 13,321 students taking part in the examination in the Upper West region. Out of this number of 13,321, 6,592 are boys, and the girls are a little bit higher, with a population of 6,729. So they are dealing with several centers. Notable among them is the Wasina High Technical School Center, where we have 2 centers located in this senior high school. So at the Center B, we have a candidate population of 299. My checks revealed that only one person was absent yesterday. The supervisor told me that they were told that ever since that candidate registered for the exams, she never turned up school. So everything is going on well at the centers in the Upper West region.
Are there any issues like we've seen Martina Bugri recording where some students were unable to sit their exams on day one or on the back of any health situations that have cropped up?
For now, such issues have not been brought to the attention of the authorities. We are yet to get these issues if they are. But for now, things are moving on calmly as expected at the examination centers in the Upper West region. Maybe it's still too early yet for us to talk about some reasons. But as the days roll by, we will get to some of these nagging challenges.
Kwesi Kwarteng also made mention of the fact that usually when you register students, you don't get 100% turnout. What is the turnout like? You've mentioned the numbers. Is that 100% turnout?
Surely it couldn't be 100% turnout, because even if you have a candidate population of one center, 299, once one person is out, you can get the 100%. Some of these centers are having challenges, especially with the female, with a girl child, because majority of some of these candidates, when they register for the examination, they don't really come to school. But let me tell you, there's one interesting thing that is happening here in these regions. You have pupils or some of these candidates who are not from some of the schools. They have to migrate, they have to move to different schools to register. You have some candidates who are in, say, Form 1 or Form 2, but they want to jump and they move to other schools to register for the examination. But some candidates, who, when they register for exams, they never turn up. And some of them too, during the examination, they fail to never. It could be as a result of some of them being pregnant or some of them who are now nursing mothers. But clearly means that these are issues that are expected in some of these centers.
Interesting. Hold for me, Rafiq. So just to end the conversation with both of you, Martina, have there been any such developments from your end, especially when teenage pregnancy comes in, or any of those who are mothers already who are taking this exam, sitting the exam?
For the 3 centers in the Tamale Metropolis and the Sanergu municipality that I visited, I didn't see anyone like that. And for the Kalpohini and the Ghana Senior High School Center, the PRO of the Ghana Education told me that they have not recorded anybody with pregnancy or breastfeeding.
Well, Martina, Rafiq, we're grateful that you could join the conversation and bring us the latest from the northern region and the Upper West region, Tamale to be specific, and of course, Wa as well. So we've been having this conversation on the back of the BECE, which has started. In fact, it started yesterday. It's going all the way till Friday. And the numbers may not be 100% like have been mentioned by my correspondents. But the point to be made, a large number of them are sitting the exam, bar those who couldn't start from yesterday. And it is the hope that anyone who qualifies, who is there, will be given the opportunity to do so. And that for those who need assistance, like that student with cerebral palsy, more will be done to ensure that they can actually see the exams through. Coming up next, we're going to be having a conversation on energy, and the Energy Commission, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service, is seeking to provide education and awareness on renewable energy, clean energy, and energy efficiency among the various senior high schools and technical institutions in the country. What exactly is the rationale behind this drive, this push, and how are they going to execute it? Details after the break. Welcome back on the AM show, and we talk energy matters as the Energy Commission, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service, is seeking to provide education and awareness on renewable energy, clean energy, and energy efficiency among the various senior high schools and technical institutions in the country. The Commission has initiated the Energy Commission's Senior High Schools Renewable Energy Challenge, that is the ECSHREC, if you like. That's how I call it, with the aim of fostering an interest in renewable energy in students of second cycle institutions. Joining us to elaborate on this, Bernice Norte is Officer Renewable Energy, that is Energy Commission, and Linda Mensah, Senior Manager Public Affairs, also with the Energy Commission. Ladies, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Great. So I was just cracking a joke that my colleague is Bernice, and Bernice has showed up here as well from the Energy Commission. But let's talk about what the Energy Commission does in the first place. Linda, tell us a bit about what you do. I'm sure people see you going by and maybe they'll see you with your polo neck and be asking, Energy Commission, what do you do?
Tell me about it. So the Energy Commission is the state institution set up in 1997 by an act of parliament to regulate the efficient uses of energy in Ghana. So incidentally, we are celebrating our 25th anniversary this year, which will be taken off soon, because in 31st December marks when there was presidential assent for our act to take place. So the Energy Commission, basically, we are in charge of the electricity, the natural gas, and the renewable energy industries in Ghana. And by extension, we formulate policies or recommend policies to the Minister for Energy. We recommend policies to the Minister for adoption. We issue licenses. We promote the use of renewable energy. And that is why we are here today, for instance. Under the Renewable Energy Act 2011, Act 832, we are supposed to promote the deployment of efficient use of renewable energy sources in Ghana. So the Energy Commission is a state regulator, technical regulator for the energy sector in these industries that I have mentioned.
So if you see Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh doing certain things, sometimes you know that it's coming from the Energy Commission.
We are only
they are pushing certain things, and good things, in fact, very good things, part of which is why we're here. Now, what is this Senior High School Challenge all about? Why even start this? Energy efficiency and all of that. What started that?
So there is study to prove that about 400 million and over people across the West Africa region suffer from household air pollution. And a lot of that has to do with the kind of methodologies we use in our cooking. Traditionally we had these 3-pot stoves. We burn wood. And all these things lead to health hazards for us. It's also said that about 14 million people die annually as a result of this. So because of these statistics and the fact that we also...
So those are global figures?
Those are ECOWAS figures.
ECOWAS figures?
Yes.
I see.
So the statistics on the ground was not very good. This year we decided to take a look at our cooking technologies. So basically the Senior High Schools Renewable Energy Challenge was brought about to get the youth interested in renewable energy. And so we are creating awareness all the time. But we are getting the youth to start early. So by the time they grow up, they know what renewable energy is about. And it's not just solar. So anything renewable is not only solar. In Ghana, I think solar has gone very far. But we are creating the awareness through this program among the youth to come up with solutions. What they do is to come up with prototype versions of solutions they have devised towards problems that have been identified for them. So they come up with these versions over time, they improve upon them in a competition. So the schools challenge is actually a competition. So they are competing, and the best winner, of course, will get a juicy award.
The best school will win, right?
Yes.
Interesting. But tell me, Bernice, what are the criteria? How do you select the schools? Are they handpicked? For what reason would you pick school A over school B?
Okay, so because we are in collaboration with GES, we usually design a call for papers.
Okay.
Just to say, so it's sort of like an expression of interest. So the Ghana Education Service sends out this expression of interest to all the schools.
All schools?
Yes.
Second cycle schools?
Yes, all second cycle
wow.
schools. So when they send it out, the schools that are interested reply to that call. So you are supposed to reply to the call with your project title and a brief proposal about your project.
I see.
So for the competition, we are taking 10 schools per region.
Okay, so that would be 160 schools.
Yes. Wow. So it started in 2019. We did a pilot for just Accra. We had 29 schools. Okay. Then in 2020, because of the COVID, we couldn't really do much about it. Then 2021, we expanded it to all the 16 regions. 14 regions participated. We had 90 schools. And then this year, we had 119 schools from all regions. Some regions had over 40 schools expressing interest. So they had to have a preliminary competition before we had to go around for our regional competitions.
That's
so
interesting.
Any school that is interested in participating should just respond to the call when GES sends the message with your project and your project title, and it should be related to the theme.
So it means some 41 schools did not respond to the call. Because if it's 160 schools and you speak of 119, so it means some 41 schools
did not.
exempted themselves. Yes. Right, that's rather interesting. But in this sense, so how many schools have made it to the finals?
6.
6 of them?
Yes.
From all the 16 regions?
Yes.
Can you give us an idea where these schools are from?
Okay, so,
which regions?
I think I should mention the schools. That will help.
Yeah, you can mention the schools.
So we had the 16 regional competitions. Then we went for the zonals, Southern Zone and Northern Zone. Okay. So for the Southern Zone, we had GSTS, Yasantwa, and then PEGE emerging as the winners for the Southern Zone. Then for the Northern Zone, we had Business SHS, Bolgatanga Girls, and Nkranza Technical Institute. So these are the 6 schools that are coming to the
Upper
finals.
East and other regions in there. Interesting mix. So from the Southern Belt, the Northern Belt, there's good representation. Tell me, what is in it for the winning school before I come back to Linda?
Okay,
What's in it? I mean, I'm sure you would want to motivate them, incentivize this. What do they get?
Okay, so for the winning school, we have a package for the school, then we have a package for the team. So the team are the presenters. So that's the 4 students that are presenting this year, their teacher, and then the regional coordinator.
Okay.
Then the school, as the institution that brought the students, also gets something. So one of the distinguishing things the winning school is getting this year is a 5 kilowatt solar system.
Wow, that's a big deal.
Yes.
For free?
Yes.
Can I participate?
No, you're too old.
Oh, you make me feel. Oh, so kwata, the point is I can't get on board.
Unless you go back to secondary
This is discrimination.
No, it's not. It's for second cycle institutions. We are way past
But that. I could always, haven't you heard of those students who are, 50 plus? I'm not near that place though, but
I think you can participate as a sponsor.
As a sponsor,
yes.
They want to come and cash out. But tell me, how is this impacting the students at that level? I'm sure having gone round, having had these schools participate, having narrowed it down to these 6 schools, you've seen the impact. What has it been like?
So for one, it develops their presentation skills and their confidence, public speaking, and how to bring their ideas about. Number 2, it's helping them appreciate problems and find solutions towards such problems.
Wow.
And yes, number 3, we are thinking of, in the future, patenting their inventions, because they are inventions. These guys come up with their own solutions to the problems we give them.
Unique problems, unique solutions.
Yes, and they bring solutions. So we will patent these solutions, and then in that way, the schools can make some money out of it, because we intend, for instance, they should be able to commercialize it. Hitherto, we've just been doing this for the competitions, and it remains there. It should be moved from the shelves in the books and on slides and, and brought to the ground. People should benefit. So we see how commercially viable these inventions are. We patent them, and the school makes a lot. Of course, the children, they're also enjoying the social media posts. Their pictures are all over the place and all that. They are having fun and learning. Very, very.
Now that we're talking about patterns and all of that, what are some of the projects that have made it to the finals, and what moving forward are you going to be doing with them? What do you envisage will come out of them?
Okay, so this year we are in partnership with CSIR IIR to pick up the 6 finalist projects and then develop them after the competition.
All of them?
Yes, the 6 projects. So the one that will be fruitful and be commercialized, the school will also get something small out of that together with the patent right, and then the students will also get something small from that. And
so where's the seed money coming from? The Energy Commission, or what's it going to be like?
You can sponsor us.
Oh, I want to know.
So this program is coming with the kind support of sponsors. The GIZ is in there, the AFD is in there. Ashesi University is on board. We Power Development Authority is there. ECG is
powering that thing.
Yes, ECG is in the PRC.
VRA and CCA.
You have all the energy people in there.
The CCA is Clean Cooking Alliance. They are also in there.
It helps.
So we are still waiting for your Joy FM, as we sit here, actually is sponsoring this interview. We are grateful, but we look forward to more. Yes, sure.
Okay. I'm sure there's more where that's coming from.
And then I think you asked what's some of the interesting. We cannot mention, for instance, those that will be presented tomorrow. But we have seen students come up with projects that have boiled egg with the power of the sun. They have processed tomatoes. I mean, they are doing very wonderful things, and I think it's exciting that we can get our youth to explore and use their minds for such innovative things instead of spending all the time, for instance, on the internet.
Yeah, of course, even if you spend your time there, it must count.
Exactly.
I am excited about what you're doing, X-Shrek, I call it.
Yes,
is that what you call it as well?
Actually, I think you got it right. You hate
it. Anyway, so what would be your final words as you move, full steam ahead on this project? Bernice, starting with you and then Linda.
Okay, so my final words would be that this competition is an innovative one. We are trying to bridge the gap between theory and then the practical lessons. So if throughout all the 16 regions that we've been to, you could see that the children are now able to appreciate what they learn in the classroom because they are being able to do it with their own hands and understand the concepts and the mechanisms that's brought about those theories that they've been learning. So I'll entreat all the senior high schools and then the technical institutions to put their best up when the call for the expressing interest in the challenge comes on, and also to the boys and then the girls. The boys, the English. Sometimes you can see that they've been able to do the project, but how to articulate themselves is a problem. The girls, because they read a lot, are able to articulate themselves very well, because in our final schools, we have 2 girls' schools and only 1 boys' school. The rest are all mixed schools. So the girls are able to articulate themselves very well, but the boys, the pidgin and the shorthand and the shortcuts way of thing, it's making them not articulate themselves very well. So it would be best if they could use the internet profitably, read wide, and then try and research more. And
you
also,
can pass some of them on to me. I'll do some magic with them.
And then also we will need more sponsors because it involves a lot of resources. So I will entreat all the companies to come on board and then sponsor this challenge.
Great. Final words, Linda?
Yes, so we all know, I mean, we don't need rocket science to tell us how expensive electricity is now. God has blessed us with renewable energy sources. We at the Energy Commission will continue to promote the use of renewable energy sources. So in our own little way, whatever we can do to put less stress on our electricity grid, we should do that. But tomorrow is the competition. Who wins the competition is what we are asking. It's an exciting time. It is free. It is free. Join us, please, at the conference center at 9 a.m. Come and let's have fun. Let's see what our children can do. And they are doing wonders. I'm sure you'll be inspired. Let's have fun with science. No nation develops without technology. So that's exactly what the Energy Commission is doing with ECSHREC. You can also support it like they have called for. Thank you so much, Bernice and Linda. Thank you so much for having us. Bernice Norte is Officer Renewable Energy at the Energy Commission. Linda Mensah is Senior Manager Public Affairs, also with the Energy Commission. On that note, we take a short break. When we return, NSMQ will come your way. It's also building on what they are doing, and we'll also be interacting with you. Do stay. Interesting time, some 37 minutes past the top of the hour. Last year, it was Kita facing off with Prempeh and the Blue Boys, Presec. This year, how's it going to pan out? Well, we're getting into the quarterfinal stage, but even today, to get there, some schools are locking horns. To bring us the scoop on that, Maxwell Agbagba is standing by all the way from Kumasi in the Ashanti region. Maxwell, thank you for joining the conversation. What is the latest in terms of the schools' pairings, and what can we expect ahead of today's clashes?
Well, Benjamin, here at the Kumapel Auditorium, we have at Disadel College, Koforidia Secondary Technical School, and Achirinsua Senior High School competing right now for a place at the quarterfinals of the 2022 National Science and Maths Quiz. At Disadel College, one-time winners of the NSMQ, they have been to the finals more than any senior high school in Ghana. In fact, from the year 2015 to 2018, they were in the finals of the National Science and Maths Quiz 4 consecutive times. They did not win the trophy when they got to the finals in those years. In fact, some people have been interacting with, are calling the Zebra Boys the Juventus of the National Science and Maths Quiz. But they're coming into this contest as the reigning Central Region champions of the National Science and Maths Quiz. We were there in the Central Region. We saw how they outclassed schools like Infantipim School, St. Augustine's College, Wesley Girls, University Practice, and more to lift that trophy. We have some of the gentlemen here with us. Let's talk to them. Let's find out from them what the expectations are, even as the contest, is underway here at the Kumapele Auditorium. So some of you can go behind me. Okay, so you can go behind me. Yeah. Tell me your expectations ahead of the contest. Yeah. Who would want to start? Kizito. Yeah. That's your nickname.
That's my middle name.
Your middle name. Yes. That's a nice middle name, Kizito.
Thank you.
I know these schoolboys love, nicknames. So when I heard Kizito, I thought it's your nickname. What should we expect in this contest?
Okay, we are expecting nothing but the best. And we know, as our motto says, vel primus, vel cum primus. Either the first or the first. But with this contest, we are not either like with the first. We are the first. Yes. In this contest, we are the first. Yes. That's our expectation.
The other time I was interacting with some of the gentlemen from St. Augustine's College, the Absunians were telling me that they are relishing the prospects of an all-boys school grand finale, but they don't want their arch rivals in Infantipim School to be on that stage with them because they feel they are not on their level. Are you also relishing the prospect of an all-boys school finals? And which schools would you want to compete against at that finals?
Actually, we don't have any school in mind. Any school who tries his best to come to the final. We are ready. We are ready for any school this time around.
I like the calm manner which you put it. If you can come.
If you can come. So we are just ready for any school in Ghana this year, and definitely we are taking the trophy this year too.
You want the schools? Wait, he's saying something.
If you bring the teachers, we need.
We actually want the boys, the men who taught the students themselves, because we are not on the same level as you are. No, we need them physics was founded in Adisadel College. If you don't know,
really?
Yes. You don't know?
Really?
Physics was actually founded in Adisadel College.
How?
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
Google it and check as well. You can. That is why we need the teachers.
Can you give me the background to that? Come to the school.
Come to the school, you get it.
Just come to the school. But this contest is a lightweight for us. We are expecting more than over 70 points. Over
70 points.
Yeah, in this
so far, the school that is leading at the 1-8 stage, it's Accra Academy with 60 points. Yes. And you're saying that you're going to qualify for the quarterfinals?
We're expecting over 70 points this time around in the 1-8 stage. Yeah, definitely.
Because we wouldn't even jubilate when we get a 30, no, or 45, or a 50 to qualify with that.
The contest is underway right now. You see, the other time I was asking the other guys. I was telling them that the NSMQ evokes a lot of memories, high school memories and all of that. Any fondest memories in a disco you want to share with us?
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of memories to share. But then, if I am to share, you wouldn't be interested. So I would want you to experience yourself. That's what I'm saying. Come to Adisas. Simple. Come to Adisadel College.
Okay, let's hear your anthem, guys. Let's hear your anthem. Stand up to honor those who have built the school with their faith. Our mater, a blessing of honor, makes us remember the strength of their name. Others have labored and we share the glory. As to the respect and add to their gain. Those who come after will take up a story. Make me worthy of singing again. Play up, Santa Clausians. Play up and play the game. Give nothing but your best and never think of rest. Play up for the school's great name. Play up, Santa Clausians. So we do play up and play the game. Give nothing but your best and never think of rest. Play up for the school's great name. Adisadel on the hill, where primus welcome primis, alma mater of great men, Santa Clausians. Hail Adisco, hail Adisco, we shall never be beaten, we shall always bear the power. Adisco, hail, hail Adisco, great Adisco, we shall never be beaten. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Okay, sure. No, I'll come for it later. Thank you, Kizito. Thank you. Great. So you had a gentleman from Adisadel College. They say that you're going to qualify to the grand finale, and they're going to win if they qualify for the grand finale. Let's wish them luck. The competition is underway. We'll be getting round 1 results very soon, and then we'll see how that goes. But I have my colleagues here. I have one of my colleagues here, and then our in-house analyst, Dr. Euregia Intiamwa.
Yes.
2015 contestant, Benkum Senior High School, and then Dr. at Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. I also have with us Yimano Bright Kweku. Have with me Yimano Bright Kweku.
They are disco boys, they are funny, you know.
Oh, wait, is it a part of the physics or something?
Well, I don't know, but they are really funny.
No. I get why he's saying they are funny. If I'm supreme old boy, so you can understand. Yeah, mobile, yeah. I know it's a central region rivalry kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. But currently in central region, Adisco is on top when it comes to NSMQ.
NSMQ, definitely.
We know, but still.
I think he's just hated. Let me ask you, the contest is underway right now at Adisadel College, Koforidua Secondary Technical School, Achirensua Senior High School. Which school do you think is winning?
Oh, I think I was inside watching and Adisco is leading. They are still
already?
Yeah, on round 1 they are still doing it. Then they are leading. Okay. I think at this point in time, people are doing agenda. They want base schools to be kicked out. But there's one factor with the NSMQ people are not aware.
Okay.
It's called the fear of God. The fear factor. Okay. When you meet Presec, no matter how big and learned you are, there's a fear factor. When you meet Prempe, no matter how big and learned you are, there's a fear factor.
So
when you meet
the fear of meeting a big school will make you jittery on stage sometimes and commit.
I think you should go and see how
some mistakes and all.
Koforidua secondary technical is faring.
Really?
They just leave the question unanswered. It's like they've even forgotten they're on stage during the quiz.
Really?
And I'm even surprised. I'm surprised. Because we are all waiting to do the agenda and everyone is messing up.
So wait, you're tipping St. Augustine's College to win this contest, right? At this other college to win this contest, right?
Hopefully. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Okay. Is it a disco for you too?
For rivalry's sake, I would say Koforidua should win. But anything
I told you he's hating.
But anything can happen. Considering Adisu, as he rightly said, no matter how big or learned you are, once you meet a big school, there is that bit of G3 and then you fear they will beat you. So you become relaxed, your questions go unanswered, and the other school...
You fear to take bonuses.
And the other school...
You don't want to gamble your points.
Not at all. Okay. So in this, I think Adisu might win, but I'm just hoping they do not.
Just hoping they do that. Okay. Anyway, we have another contest later today. Keta Senior High Technical School, Ketasco, 2021 finalist, Ketasco, University Practice SHS, and then Nungwa Senior High School. We saw Ketasco in 2021. In 2022, I was in the Volta region. Not really much of, a Ketasco that I saw in 2021. And that's how come Bishop Herman College won, and they are the reigning Volta OT regional zonal champions. So I don't know how it's going to go for Ketasco, but we've seen some schools at the regional level not performing well, that performing very, putting up a very spectacular performance on a national stage. Do you think it's going to go the way of Ketasco? Do you think University Practice is going to win this?
University Practice is coming into this contest with one of the highest scores. And
from the prelims, they had the second highest scores, 79 points.
Yes, and University Practice is one of our favorites when it comes to the NSMQ. They started slowly from 2013. 2013, they went to the quarterfinals. 2014, they got to the semi-finals. Actually, 2013 was the first time they competed in the NSMQ. Yeah. And 2015, they got to the finals. And they were the second runner-ups. Yeah. So when it comes to NSMQ, they've been doing well, but then of late, you haven't seen much of them after they went to start from the regional contest. Yeah. And this time, they're coming back bigger and better. We saw them in the Cape Coast.
In the regional qualifiers, the championship. In fact, they kicked out Wesley Girls.
Yes.
Yeah. Holy Child as well.
And they got to the finals, and they didn't do bad at all. Yeah. They didn't do bad at all. So hopefully they'll win. And Ketasco is not one of the schools with a fear factor. For schools like Keta, they might be the best in the Volta region, but then it happens once a while for them to get to the finals, for them to do well in the NSMQ. Yeah. Even though in past times they've been getting to the semi-finals, quarter-finals, but then they don't have the fear factor and the ability to kick out University Practice.
I can say that are the torchbearers, NSMQ torchbearers for the Volta and OT regions, because they have. If you're looking at performance, they really go far in the competition. And I'm sure the Volta and OT regions will be looking forward to them winning their contest and progressing, in the competition. In fact, I was in the Volta region, I've been in the 2021 finals, and it was just amazing how people were out on the streets, anytime they answer the question correct, you find people in the streets, people going wild, jubilation and all of that. So they have the whole of Volta and OT region behind them. So I'm sure their prayers, they'll be praying for them to progress, to the next stage of the competition. We're wishing them luck. Yeah, definitely. 30 seconds, then move on.
All right. So if you'd remember West Africa SHS in 2018, when they were coming into the competition in the next year, we're thinking they would pull up the same performance. That didn't happen. So I don't know, for Ketasco, this will be the first time I'm actually seeing them contest
on the national stage after they went to the final. So I don't know if they're going to put up the same performance. I'm just hoping it wouldn't be the same as West Africa. But from the look of things, meeting a school like University Practice, it might be the
with the second highest points at the prelims. We fear. Okay. And then we have another contest. Opokuwari School is contesting this afternoon. Opokuwari School, Anglo SHS, Sunyani SHS. Opokuwari School, they are coming into this contest as Ashanti regional champions. They are winning this contest hands down.
They say we are together.
Yes or no?
They say we are together, the Trinity. That's what they are coming with.
Okay.
Trinity meaning they are taking their third trophy this year.
Really?
Yes. And I always say they are one of my favorites in this year's NSMQ. Most people know I'm anti-Opokuwari. But then I have friends from Opokuwari school and all that. But they know when it comes to NSMQ, I'm anti-Opokuwari. But this year I think I'm solidly behind them.
Okay.
Yeah, they are very good. They are very good. I've watched them on different stages. Yeah, they are very good. Okay. All round, from speed race, round one. Normally, round one is the Achilles heel. But then, this year, I think they've put things together.
Okay. Interesting. You've seen Opokuwari compete many times, Imano. Do you think they're going to win this contest? And for those who do not live in the Ashanti region, how big is Opokuwari School? Is it like the BECE of Accra?
Well, I would say
at that level
is the Accra Academy of Kumasi.
Okay.
But do you get it?
Yeah,
because Prempeh is the BECE of Kumasi.
It makes sense.
Yes, the trophy wise. So they will be the Accra of the Ashanti region. Yeah. But as Yurija just said, definitely they would win this particular contest. But I don't know how they are going to fare throughout the competition. Perhaps they might meet at, I don't know whether they'll meet at this the quarter-final stage. There's one thing about Opokuwari School and Volta region schools.
Yes, don't forget. Really? Sunrise.
And I saw a lot in there.
Okay, I think you're bringing in this because of Sunrise Senior High School.
Sunrise, Mauli, Keta,
all of them.
It's not just once. So my friend called me yesterday and was asking me, and I just told him, we wish you win, but if you don't, Twitter will be
on fire.
Yes.
Yeah, people are gathering the memes.
There will be party at Twitter tonight if they don't win. But hopefully this Alon side is not the side that can match Opokuwari boot for boot. No.
Okay.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for Opokuwari School. They are winning. And actually, I'm tipping them to get one of the highest scores in the competition so far.
Okay.
So the highest score so far is 60.
Yeah.
At this stage.
Accra Academy.
Yes, and I'm tipping them to get one of the highest scores.
And the quarterfinals is starting on tomorrow. And I think on Thursday, 3 p.m., we're going to have Accra Academy, Pope Jones, and then BECE God. Oh, my. You know, earlier, people were talking about the final before the finals. This is the second final before the finals on Thursday.
The finals before the finals.
So the Thursday one is actually going to be the final before the finals.
We will get the finals
3 boys schools,
before the finals and the semi-finals.
Really?
Hopefully.
So you think Accra Academy, BECE gone, and then...
I watched Accra Academy and BECE.
Yeah.
Against BECE.
Especially looking at Accra Academy's performance this year.
Koforidua Sek. Yes, in team.
We have 3 on 50 pi radians.
No. Atcherencia.
9 pi on 25 radian.
Repeat that.
9 pi on 25 radian.
No. Okay. It's 3 pi on 8 radians.
And that's the ongoing action. We'll be crossing over to give you some sneak peeks of that. But that final before the final, as Maxwell Agbagba was painting the picture, Accra Academy with the highest point tally so far, 60. There's also BECE Legon, and there's Pope John Secondary School. Who wins eventually? when they pair off. Only time will tell. But before we go, hello Ghana, happy moment is here. Let's storm World Cup Qatar 2022 with Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water from Casapreco Company Limited. Simply buy your favorite Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water. All you have to do, text the 4-digit unique number on the neck of the bottle to short code *780#. Choose option 2, follow the prompts on all networks for free. It's gratis. You could be one of the lucky winners to this year's World Cup in the monthly draw. You could also win TVs, fridges, microwave ovens, mobile phones, home theaters, free drinks, and more instantly. So don't waste any time. Why waste time? Grab your bottle of Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water, and let's storm Qatar this World Cup. This promotion is on the NLA Caritas platform. This advert is FDA approved. Do remember, terms and conditions apply. On that note, it is top of the morning to you. It's close to the top of the hour where we'll be serving you Joy News Desk, but it's been a pleasure as always. I'm Benjamin Akakpo. I do this together with Bernice Abubedu Lanza. From us to you, have a good day.